Yo, what up? You know what it is. It's your boy AJ Francis reporting to you live from New York City, the birthplace of hip-hop. And I'm telling you that I'm only tuned in with Tru Heel Heat Wrestling. Holla at me.
Oye, te habla tío Sabio Vega. This is Sabio Vega and you watching Tru Heel Heat a mi manera o pa' la calle.
What's up, everyone? It's the interview queen Alicia Toot here, and be sure to watch Tru Heel Heat.
Welcome to Tru Heel Heat, the place where we use insider terms because we think we know what the fuck we're talking about, even though we don't. My name's Maxwell Jacob Friedman, and I'm better than you, and you know it.
It is Sunday morning, and you know what that means, or you don't, because usually we're here on Saturdays, but it's time for a Sunday morning cookout here on the Tru Heel Heat YouTube channel. You know what time it is. It is time for the Flagship podcast. We got a lot to discuss as Bobby Lashley and MVP are finishing up their runs with WWE and possibly reuniting the Hurt Business in AEW. WrestleMania possibly going to London. Drew McIntyre is trolling alongside Jack Perry to get under the skin of the most, reliable person who won't overreact at all, CM Punk. Oh shit, the picture's been deleted. This is the Tru Heel Heat Flagship podcast. Let's get to it. Hello. It is me, your Tru Heel Phenom, SP3. We are live on the Tru Heel Heat YouTube, Facebook, and the Romeo Damas Twitter for Tru Heel Heat 287 Hurt Educated Wish. Discussing the latest wrestling news, including Bobby Lashley and MVP leaving WWE to possibly reunite Hurt Business in All Elite Wrestling. WrestleMania potentially coming to London very, very soon. Recap of this week in wrestling. And boy, what's another busy week with WWE SmackDown, Raw, NXT, AEW Dynamite, Collision, and Rampage, as well as Battle of the Belts 11. You also had NJPW's G1 Climax 34, week 2, including this morning, ROH Death Before Dishonor, ROH TV on Honor Club, TNA Slammiversary, and Impact, and we will give you our matches of the week and best of the week as per usual. No Miss Krssi Love this week. The princess of all the Tru Heels couldn't make it today, but we're going to hold down the fort because we got back with us this week the True Draw himself. Josh, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Looking forward to talking about all the stuff from this week. Doesn't seem like it was too crazy, but some stuff to talk about.
Yeah, not too crazy as far as like the news goes, but definitely a bunch of shows that we gotta touch on throughout the next couple of hours that we're here with you. If this is your first time watching the Flagship podcast, this is the best place to watch everything going on in the professional wrestling world, especially here on the Tru Heel Heat YouTube channel. We cover it all from WWE, AEW, Ring of Honor, New Japan Pro Wrestling, some Japanese promotions, some Mexican promotions, TNA, and everything in between. We appreciate y'all for joining us live here on a special Sunday edition. We're usually here on Saturdays at 11:05 a.m. Eastern, 05 a.m. Eastern time, but we switched it up this week, going to a Sunday. But we appreciate y'all if you were joining us live. Appreciate y'all if you're watching us on demand. Remember to show your appreciation back the simplest way possible. You just drop the thumbs up on this video. You can share this video with all your wrestling fans, friends, and family on all your favorite social media platforms. If you're new to the Tru Heel Heat YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell to stay notified for all the great content here. And most of all, we love to interact with all of you guys. You guys are the other hosts here on the Tru Heel Heat YouTube channel. So sound off in the live chat. We'll try to highlight as many of your comments as possible. But to make sure your comment is highlighted on screen, you got a couple of choices. You can hit the $ and send a super chat donation. That is so important to what we do here. It goes back to the contributors that you see on screen with us here. It keeps the channel moving, and it'll make sure that we get your hot takes, your questions, your thoughts on this week in professional wrestling. Or you can hit the join button and become a member of the Tru Heel Heat YouTube channel for just $1 a month. You get in-chat perks, including getting your comments highlighted on screen, like our good brother Vala B, who has been a member for 13 months. One of the OGs of the community here. Always appreciate you, Vala B. He says, sup, THH fam. Now, who wants to be Kanye and say the thing about Triple H and black people? I kid. It's a lot more complicated than that, of course, but I will be it. Triple H doesn't like black wrestlers. He proved it at WrestleMania 19. He's been proving it since August of 2022. At August of 2022, Bianca Belair was one of the top stars in this industry. Now she's in a random ass tag team that's building a story. If you ask WWE, they're building a story, just walking around with Jade all the time. And yeah, Jade Cargill came in as a big signing. She's stuck in the never has a story WWE Women's Tag Team division that only has Isla Dawn and Alba Fire on TV because we complained enough. And then you got the Street Profits, who are one of the best tag teams in the world, and then proved that again this past Friday on SmackDown. And they're nowhere as near as over as they were 2 years ago when Triple H started. Triple H doesn't like black wrestlers, but we'll get into that. These are the words of not me, but Montel Vontavious Porter. What do you think, Josh?
I mean, it's really hard to like argue that. That's what I'm like trying to think. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of things you could look into. Very, it's unfortunate. But I mean, all I'm saying is that if this was the other guy, if this was Golo Tony Khan, everybody would be jumping all over it. But because it's Triple H, everybody loves Triple H. People are backing off. People don't want to talk about it. But honestly, I mean, it's something that it needs to be discussed because, what you're seeing right now, I mean, there's a clear disconnect with a lot of people, right? Especially we'll get into it, but I'll get into that when that comes up. But I mean, I think it's a fair argument to have. That's all I'm saying.
There we go. We'll get into it more. We got news to discuss as far as Bobby Lashley and MVP leaving WWE, where we'll get more into that. But keep sounding off in the live chat. We got Power Driver Finisher here with us today. We got Bell here with us today. Speaking of great black wrestlers, Power Driver Finisher saying, Athena forever, forever, forever. Absolutely. We're going to talk about ROH Death Before Dishonor 2024. We got Power Driver Finisher also saying H looks up to Triple H, so he probably brown-nosed via R word. Whoa. We also got Power Trip Finisher says, or maybe not looked up to, but tried to cozy up to the right people. We shall see. We shall see, and we shall talk about it. But we got to shout out those supporting us across social media and here on the Tru Heel Heat YouTube channel, as well as Patreon. Our Tru Heel Roll Call is how we start off every edition of the Flagship podcast. Our top 3 conversation starters over on the Tru Heels group page on Facebook. You got Joe Bellini, you got Patrick Eagle, and you got number 1, once again, Stewie John Palmer. Thanks for supporting us over there on Facebook /Tru Heels. Our Patreon backers at patreon.com/Tru Heel Heat. You got Bala B, you got ALW, you got the Negro Buck Nick Jackson, you got Alice McCarthy, Professor Chris, Trey Jones, Robert, Steve, Ladarius, Dan, Kobe, Dolores, John Martin, DJ Eric. You got James, Allen, and Santo. Thank you so much for supporting us over at patreon.com/Tru Heel Heat. $3 a month gets you exclusive content, and that is the best place to support us when we are not live here on the channel. But without further ado, let's spoil Deadpool and Wolverine. No, I'm kidding, guys. We're going to give you one more week. You got one more week to watch. It just came out on Friday, so I won't spoil it for you. All I will say, it's the most fun I've had going to any film since Spider-Man No Way Home. Any spoiler-free comment that you want to make about Deadpool and Wolverine, Josh?
All I'll say is that it exceeded expectations. I'll leave it at that. That's me being nice.
Absolutely. And if you watch Comic-Con or seen the news from San Diego's Comic-Con this weekend, we got some more good stuff, some more goodness coming from the Marvel Universe. I said it's safe to say after the announcement, one of the announcements, which I'll spoil for you here, is the Russo brothers directing the next 2 Avengers film. They are the Avengers directors. MCU is back, baby. Between Deadpool and Wolverine, and then that news, and then the news of the iconic actor coming back to the MCU, it's back, baby. We had a short period that wasn't good, but we're back. We're back, baby. We got to get into what we missed, but we got to run in first. And she's crying. She's crying because I haven't sent any super chat donations. What's wrong? You hurt your finger? Hurt your finger? You want me to kiss it? We'll be okay. It's all right. She says send super chats. Make her feel better. Hopefully she comes back and she's not crying like that. So send super chats. Thanks, guys. We'll see if I want to see if she's gonna come back in. She usually makes more than one run in when she's feeling like that, but I think her mom's got her. All right, let's start off with what we missed. We'll start off in the WWE verse first. We had WWE SmackDown on Friday. The show was taped from Omaha, Nebraska last week as WWE was over in Japan, and we'll have some news about WWE in Japan and one of the big Japanese stars having a big announcement this week. But yeah, WWE SmackDown, the show featured the Bloodlines, Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga, not Tonga Loa. They won a number 1 contenders tag team gauntlet that featured Legado del Fantasma, Apollo Crews, and Baron Corbin. You had the Street Profits, who went on a nice run, getting victories over Crews and Corbin, as well as Pretty Deadly and the OC, before they dropped the final fall to the Bloodline. About almost nearly 40 minutes of this gauntlet matchup, with Jacob Fatu, of course, being the standout, getting the victory for the Bloodline. So they become the new number 1 contenders for the WWE Tag Team Championships. They will go up against DIY on next week's Friday Night SmackDown. You also had LA Knight. Yeah, he picked up a victory over Santos Escobar despite interference from Logan Paul. But post-match, Logan Paul and Santos attacked LA Knight, leaving him laying before Logan later in the night teased that Mr. Cleveland has a surprise for him. He'll have his big homecoming on next week's SmackDown ahead of SummerSlam in Cleveland at Browns Arena. And then finally, in the main event, you had Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton defeated Bayley and Michin in a solid matchup, with Nia Jax pinning her SummerSlam opponent, the WWE Women's Champion Bayley. This was fairly mid-show in my eyes. I think the tape shows are always down a bit. Oh, you're happy now? You want to show the people you're happy now? Want to say hi? Say hi to Josh. What did you do?
I figures.
You have figures? And say send a super chat.
Send the super chat.
There we go. There we go. There we go. Use your kids wisely, folks. But yes, that's like I said, I think this was a tape episode. It felt kind of phoned in. I saw some people who liked the fact that we got more wrestling on this show in comparison to other episodes of SmackDown, and it was more of like a callback to kind of like the Triple H NXT era with the way this was kind of formatted and delivered. It was more focused on the in-ring work. A couple of vignettes. You had Cody with a sit-down interview saying that he wants to go face-to-face with Solo ahead of SummerSlam next week, but fairly not noteworthy at all for this episode of SmackDown. What did you think?
Same. I think the last like 2 SmackDowns had kind of felt like that. You know, I think it's okay. Like if you put in more wrestling, I don't think that's a bad thing. But when there's like no buzz and there's no like substance behind it, then it's kind of like doesn't mean much, to be honest with you. So like, you know, I get it. You know, like a lot of the stuff they already have set up for SummerSlam, and I think that they're just in cruise control. Is it me, or do I notice that with Triple H? Usually, like when there's like a big show coming up, he usually goes like on cruise control more than anything.
I think I was fairy.
You had a fairy come and see you?
What's this? Oh no.
That's your godfather behind the scenes.
Oh, we did the code of fairy.
Okay.
Say what?
She said she saw a fairy. She saw a fairy.
A fairy? Well, wow. Already with the insults, roasting me young.
I don't think she was talking about you. She was talking about in the house.
All right.
We got one of those blink cameras where we could talk through it in another room, and she thinks that it's not us, it's a fairy talking to her. So that's what she's referring to.
All right, man. I'm about to say, I'm teaching her young how to roast people, how to play dozens. Like, that's cool.
There you go. See, there's your godfather.
There you go. What's
Say
up?
hi. Hi.
Hey.
I called fairy.
Yeah, you don't say. Did you watch Deadpool and Wolverine last night?
Did you watch Deadpool and Wolverine?
Yeah.
Who do you like more, Deadpool or Wolverine?
She said Deadpool. I heard it.
No, she said Wolverine. She definitely
You
did.
said Wolverine? All right.
Yeah, she's a Wolverine fan.
X-23.
There you go. That's her. That's definitely her. She's X-23. But yes, I agree with you though, Josh, that when Triple H gets close to the pay-per-view, when it's all kind of laid out for him, he can give you kind of a paint by the numbers type of episode like this one. I'm not saying that the episode was bad. I don't think Triple H has delivered any like bad TV shows, but it was fairly kind of low maintenance and semi phoned into me.
Yeah, it was like autopilot. That's what it was. It was autopilot.
Yeah, most definitely. We do have a super chat donation. See, all we have to do is ask. You guys are awesome. We got Bella B who says, "Oh, feel better, Harlem." She's feeling better. She's feeling better already. She's talking to fairies. She prefers Wolverine over Deadpool. Sorry for the Deadpool fans. Sorry for Deadpool. I know he's watching, breaking the fourth wall here. We also got Power Driver Finisher who mentions that, saying Deadpool in Wolf's Hide was awesome. Indeed, it was. We also got in the chat another super chat donation from the GOAT himself, Will Chisholm. Thank you so much, Will. He says, I laughed so hard when Jacob saying Solo, I love you. That man is the GOAT. Yo, he was on the apron being like, Solo, I love you. I love you. He's my tribal chief. Oh my God, he's so awesome. He's so awesome. Jacob Fatu, man. He's a future star. Like his performance in the Gauntlet like got my attention. That was one of the rare things on the SmackDown show that got my attention because I was watching both SmackDown and ROH Death Before Dishonor at the same time. But Solo doing that triple jump moonsault and just the way he moves in the ring. I mean, Jacob Fatu moving in the ring doing the double jump moonsault. That got my attention. He is like an attention grabber.
No, he is, and I think that's why he's like the best member of the bloodline, or like that side of the family, because he's super athletic. His athleticism is a lot different than Roman, because Roman is athletic as fuck too when he wants to be, but it's nowhere near to what Jacob does. So that's why it's a unique kind of thing, because usually a lot of the Samoan members, they usually have like more like of a safe kind of style. Like they're not like over the top with their ring stuff. So this is kind of like a little different from what we've been seeing, like the stuff that Jacob could do. And I think that's why a lot of people were excited when he was like finally signed with WWE, because they saw what he could do. And so far he's been proving that.
He definitely has. He definitely has for sure. But let's get into a bit of the news that we got going on in WWE. And we'll start off with what we kind of alluded to at the start of the show. Fightful has a report on the WWE contract status of former WWE champion Bobby Lashley. According to the report, Lashley's contract is expiring within the next month or so, and it will possibly be up as soon as within the next few weeks. Additionally, Lashley was reportedly removed from WWE's internal roster, though he's still currently featured on the company's official website. The 48-year-old Lashley has not wrestled for WWE since early May at a live event. He was supposed to be a part of the King and Queen of the Ring tournament, but he suffered an injury that pulled him from the tournament. Fightful reports that Lashley plans to continue wrestling if he's able to reach a contract extension with WWE or possibly go to another promotion. The report also notes that Lashley has not been figured or factored into creative plans since the spring when he and his stable, the Pride, were feuding with the Final Testament. The feud saw the Pride pick up a victory over the Final Testament in a Philadelphia street fight at WrestleMania 49-2. Since that time, Lashley has only wrestled 5 times on WWE programming. Lashley also has experience competing in MMA. Fightful notes that sources close to the former champion said that Lashley trying his hand at MMA again isn't out of the realm of possibility. Lashley himself has previously stated that if the right situation presented itself, he would fight in MMA again. Bobby Lashley has seen massive success since returning to the World Wrestling Federation or World Wrestling Entertainment, almost called them the Feds, over 6 years ago in 2018. Since his return, he's become a 2-time Intercontinental Champion. He won the United States Championship 2 more times. He finally won the WWE Championship, beating The Miz to win his first major world title for the company in March of 2021. He later won the title a second time at Royal Rumble 2022. He also won the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal ahead of last year's WrestleMania 39. It will be interesting to see what happens next for Bobby Lashley. But in association with that, MVP's deal is set to expire with WWE. PW Insider reports that MVP's deal is set to expire this summer, although neither wrestler has been released from the company at this time. Both are expected to leave when their deals are up, but one source noted that this is WWE and that there was always a chance something could change. If their deals do expire, they would be free to show up anywhere immediately. Fightful Select reports that MVP is not expected to be used on WWE TV again and is not expected to stay in the company. This was said to be the belief for a while. MVP hasn't been booked on shows or TV for quite some time. The Wrestling Observer newsletter reports that WWE is also expecting both to leave within the next few weeks. One source suggested that neither Lashley nor MVP were offered new deals. Others noted that Lashley was offered a new deal but turned it down. It was noted that MVP has been getting stem cell treatment in an attempt to heal previous injuries, including a serious knee injury, so he could wrestle again. Both are still on the roster, but there are no plans to use them before they leave. The current belief is that they will pitch a Hurt Business reunion in All Elite Wrestling, along with Shelton Benjamin. They would have to use a different name, as the Hurt Business is a WWE trademark. All three were said to be frustrated when the faction was dropped, and MVP has made it known on social media that he has attempted to pitch the Hurt Business return under the Triple H regime, but Triple H has not been keen to reunite the stable. There was a point where it looked like the group may be put back together, but those plans were effectively dropped and canceled. All three. This would include Shelton Benjamin, who is also a free agent as well, but hasn't signed anywhere as of yet. Cedric Alexander is still contracted to the WWE. He is currently on the NXT roster, but this was the big news that came out. I believe this was on Monday that this first report was released, or Sunday night into Monday morning, and then the report of them possibly reuniting the Hurt Business in All Elite Wrestling. What do you think about Triple H? For Triple H, how he booked both MVP and Bobby Lashley after coming into power in the creative role in July of 2022? And what do you think about Bobby Lashley and MVP leaving WWE, and what's next for them? What do you see?
As for the way they were being used under Triple H, I mean, the proof has been there. They're either being barely used or nothing goes anywhere. This whole thing with Lashley being in the stable with the Street Profits could have gone somewhere, especially turning Street Profits heel, and then all of a sudden, oh no, let's turn them back face because the crowd reaction. These are things that it could have gone somewhere with these three, and it never did. Like, it was just like non-existent. And then even at WrestleMania, they had a match, and arguably could be the worst match of night 2. Looking at by default, no fault on nobody's own when it comes to that. It's just like when you look at that card, it's like, which is probably like the least match I didn't care about. Fair. Unfortunately, they fall into that category. So when it comes to like the way he's been used, I mean, it's very obvious. Like you see it. It's like non-existent. As far as where they go from here, I mean, honestly, I think their best bet is AEW. I know a lot of people have said, oh, they should go back to TNA. I think they already been there, done that when it comes to TNA. Like Lashley has such a dominant run in TNA that it's like he goes back, anything he does less than that is not going to even be better, right? They go to AEW, it's something fresh, something unique. They have guys you can mix up with them, right? Because I think Lashley's still a good performer. I think talking wise, I think he could hold his own now, which is not the case of what's like 10 years ago. But if you pair him up with MVP, I mean, they're money. Like they've shown it. They showed it time to time again. You put together, you see what great things that happen, right? They had in TNA again. Lashley's best run in his career was the Destroyer run, and that was with MVP. His best run in WWE was with the Hurt Business, and it was with MVP. So regardless, you put them together, you see what happens, right? So I think so I think that AEW is the best route because it's something new, and also they're gonna get their money with AEW. I just don't see TNA in a situation where they're gonna pay the money that Lashley wants, right? And because the stock rose up, regardless of what people want to say. Yeah, he's 48, but he's been a 2-time WWE champion since then.
Yeah.
So his stock did rise. So that's just my opinion when it comes to like what they do next. Just because again, they go to the best, they go to the second best company, you're gonna get paid, right? And they're probably will take your creativity more serious. Like, hey, what do you guys want to do, right? They pitch stuff, it won't be shut down, right? Because that's the whole thing that happened with MVP. Hey, we want to bring back the Hurt Business, and we got shut down. We got told no. So they're going to be in a situation where a lot of people are going to, like creative, they're going to listen to them. and it might benefit them. I'm not saying, hey, Lashley's going to win the AEW championship. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying that AEW will probably be the best situation when it comes to creativity and when it comes to wanting to get paid.
That is a fair point. We also got Chief in the chat says too many guys on the roster in AEW. That's also a good point as well. I saw also Eric Isaac thinks that they should go back to TNA. I mean, I wasn't surprised when the news broke that Bobby Lashley would be leaving, because I always felt like there was something off as far as how Triple H booked a lot of the senior, the kind of like veteran talent when he came into power. I felt like he kind of downgraded AJ Styles for a while before he had like a revitalization this year against Cody. I felt like he kind of marginalized Bobby Lashley in a lot of ways. Like his whole treatment of the Brock Lesnar feud was like so bad, in my opinion. Like it was so bad. Like just the way he booked it, the way like it ended on a DQ finish at Elimination Chamber last year. Like some people tend to forget that, but I don't forget that that's how they ended that feud. And then the whole putting together the faction with him and Street Profits was just so poorly done. They didn't want to call them by the Pride name that they came up with on social media for months. For months, they would not call them the Pride. They would call them Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits. They turned them heel when Bobby Lashley was on the rise as a babyface, was over with the crowd. The Street Profits are one of the most likable and have built that connection with the fans so much. So I didn't even understand why he would think that was the move to turn them heel. Maybe I did hear from Jeremy Lambert that Montez Ford had an interview where he said that, he wanted to be heel, that he felt like the Street Profits had kind of reached their limit as far as being babyface, and he wanted to be heel. But at the end of the day, it's Triple H's decision to be like, no, you guys are way over with the fans. You guys should probably be a group as babyfaces. But, he turned them heel. They had to turn them back because they were so over with the fans as babyfaces. And then they put them in what was a 4-month feud with the Final Testament with Karrion Kross and the TikTokers. And then I heard also from Jeremy on In the Weeds this week. He told me that Karrion Kross did like a live stream ahead of WrestleMania where he was like frustrated with working with Bobby Lashley because Bobby Lashley was kind of treating the feud like he wanted to get by it. He wanted to just get past it. And like no one kind of paid attention to what Karrion Kross said, but it is kind of to go back and listen to that and go back and mention that. It does make a lot of sense of why Triple H did not book them after WrestleMania in any type of substantial role. It looked like Bobby Lashley was about to feud with Carmelo Hayes in the King and Queen of the Ring tournament, but that never materialized due to an injury. But it just felt like he really tried to marginalize Bobby Lashley when he could have had another top star right there for him, there for the picking that he could have treated better. And overall, it doesn't seem like the Black superstars get the strong focus or are on the same level as they were 2 years ago when Triple H came into power that they are now. Like I said before, Bianca Belair is the best example. Yes, she's trying to help Jade Cargill and bring her up, but I still would like her to be a top star in this company. And I still think that she needs to be a top star in this company, marginalizing her. And if you're going to put her in the tag team division, at least let them have a substantial run. Don't just put the titles on Alpha Fire and Isla Dawn because you're in Scotland. If you're in Scotland and you're not going to put over Drew McIntyre, don't just put the titles on them and not pay attention for them for the past, month and a half that they've been champions. They just got on TV on this episode of SmackDown in a not noteworthy segment that sets up the tag team title match that they're probably going to lose the titles right back to Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill. Like, this is why I was against last week when we talked about the mid-card women's championship. Pay attention to the mid-card women's championship you got now with the women's tag team division. You brought these titles back after the whole Naomi and Sasha Banks walking out under your regime. You brought them back. You put the titles on Raquel and freaking Aaliyah. for the first title run. That only lasted a month before you put it on Damage Control. You jobbed out Damage Control for much of their run, only to make them lose to Trish Stratus. No, it was Lita and Becky Lynch, only to just write off Lita when they're going to lose the titles to Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. Then you put the titles on Ronda and Shayna. You put it on Sonya and Chelsea. It's been a hot potato just as bad as it was under the Triple H regime. So putting Bianca Belair in this division when you have no plans to further develop it or make it important, you're marginalizing Bianca Belair. But going back to Bobby Lashley, going back to MVP proved himself as a quality manager. He's one of the best managers. Paul Heyman has gone on record in saying that he's a lot like him as a manager. He was able to elevate Bobby Lashley and bring him to the main event scene. He was able to make Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander a quality tag team with the Hurt Business. But under the Vince McMahon regime, they scrapped that to focus on Bobby Lashley, not realizing that the Hurt Business was elevating Bobby Lashley in the process, which made no sense at all. And then MVP was put with Omos, and Omos could have been used as an attraction. Now he's reviewing fragrances on YouTube and used on house shows. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. As far as where I think they should go, I would love for personally Bobby Lashley to go to New Japan Pro Wrestling. New Japan Pro Wrestling needs some star power, and Bobby Lashley would be huge for them. It would be huge. This is a guy that I would say you immediately put the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship on him and choose whether it's a Yota Tsuji or Shota Umino to build them up for a couple of months to eventually be the one to get the rub from Bobby Lashley for beating him for the title. But of course, I would think if they're reuniting Hurt Business, they want to be on week-to-week television. So the best place to do that would be AEW. But if they go to AEW, you also have to think about whose spot are they taking? Yeah. I mean, I would love if they took freaking Chris Jericho in the Learning Tree spot, because I don't want to see Jericho wrestle every fucking week, but I don't see that happening. I would love to see them take the place of a team like the Acclaimed as a duo. Anthony Bowen's on his own. He proved on Wednesday he needs to be on his own. He had a breakout performance in Blood and Guts. He needs to be on his own. If they took the spot and TV time of the Acclaim and separate the Acclaim, I would love that. I could see them feuding with someone like a Swerve Strickland, because Swerve is not about the culture and the Hurt Business is. So I love the potential of them going to AEW, but you have to look at the kind of the other side of that, of whose spot and who's going to be not on TV every single week if they do come to AEW. So it's a catch-22 wherever they go, but that's my thoughts on all of this.
Yeah, and when it comes to AEW, they do have a big roster, but at the same time, it's like no matter who they sign or no matter where they go, they're gonna take somebody's spot. So that's why it's like, if they go to TNA, maybe TNA will treat them like, hey, like we haven't. But at the same time, TNA is gonna fall in that same trap, right? Because they did it with Jeff Hardy. Hey, we're gonna pay Jeff Hardy to bring him back, pay him a lot of money, and then they're not even they're barely using him. And then now they have
he can't travel to Canada.
Yeah, and they do a lot of shows in Canada. So it was like, that was very smart of you guys to give him what he wanted, but then it's like, oh shit, wait, he can't travel. But in regards to New Japan, New Japan will be a great fit, right? It will be exciting, something fresh. At the same time, and MVP does have ties with New Japan. Yeah, right. He does.
He has a pretty good relationship with Hiroshi Tanahashi. Apparently.
Yeah. There's connection there. At the same time, it's more of a personal thing of would he want to travel to Japan? You know what I mean? Because that's always the biggest thing for a lot of guys in the U.S. that. I think New Japan would be it's a great fit, and it could elevate you. At the same time, it's just that commitment of traveling there, living there for as long as you need to live there. That's the only downside when it comes to that. Even though Japan, I think, is a great country to visit, I don't think that's the case, right? It's not so much people that want to live in Japan. It's more of the travel. You're so far away from your family, especially where your family is at. it could take a toll on you. And that's why a lot of guys don't commit to New Japan. They do a lot of tours, because a lot of tours, you're just working there for a few weeks and then going back home. You're there, for a while, and then you go back on the road. So that's why it's a little bit different when it comes to that. So it wouldn't be a problem, but then also the money wise, I don't think they're going to be able to pay Lashley the money that he would want. So that's why it's kind of like in ring, New Japan will be a great fit. It's just there's two factors to that. It's the living situation and the money situation. Because that's why Okada left. They didn't have the money. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like, and Lashley, it's gonna demand a good amount of money, which rightfully so, because again, his stock rose. So no matter what, he's gonna get a significant contract no matter where he tries to go.
Yeah. And for all this talk, they could eventually just re-sign with WWE. It's not out the realm of possibility that they would go back to WWE with some type of insurance that they be used, maybe together, maybe just put them back together, align them with the Street Profits and BFAB. I wouldn't mind that either. But
it's just that when it comes to that, it's like, MVP has said so many bad things that it's like, do you really want to sign back with the? I don't know. You probably might want to get the fuck out of there.
You might want to run, homie. They're gonna kill you.
Yeah. So it's again, that is a possibility of re-signing, but then it's like you know what you're getting at that point, right? Because they could tell you straight up, oh, we'll do this for you and that, and then boom, they take that shit away. It don't matter to them. Because again, regardless of what people want to say about Triple H or WWE, that it's at its hottest. At the same time, they still have the same business practices, and people need to stop. Like, don't be fooled by that. They still run a certain way. That's just what it is. They're a big, they're a business. Like that's just what it comes down to. It. They're still gonna do their own same old business practices. So people also have to keep that in mind. Like, oh, it's different. It's Triple H. No. It's a little bit different. It's not that much different.
Yeah, it's still the same business practices, still the same thought process. And no, I'm not saying that Triple H is racist. You can not care about black wrestlers or not care about pushing black wrestlers and not be racist. And no, I'm not going to mention, WrestleMania 19 and what he said against Booker T and the 23 seconds that it took him to pin him after a pedigree, or him doing blackface in the Nation rivalry. That helps the conversation of he doesn't care about black wrestlers or doesn't get it. But this is a honest to God conversation of, is he doing enough for the black wrestlers? That's a question that all of us fans have to ask, because it takes us fans noting that stuff, noting that the Street Profits aren't quite as over or quite as used as they were pre-Triple H that they are now, that Bianca Belair has been slowly moving down the card when she should still be a top star, and there's still equity in her being a top star in the company. Bobby Lashley should have been used as a former WWE champion and a top star for this promotion. We need to do it as fans and say this type of stuff, because it's the only way that these bookers, these owners of these companies will push them. It took us speaking up and talking about AEW's lack of representation, lack of diversity, for Swerve Strickland to become the AEW World Champion, for Willow Nightingale to have the best year of her career in 2024, for Mercedes Moné to be signed and used as a top star in the promotion, and all the black talent that were made readily available and winning titles at ROH Death Before Dishonor. It took us speaking up about it for them to make that change. And we need to do the same thing with Triple H, because I said it on Twitter and I will say it here. Oh, you're telling me Triple H's booking is not perfect? Well, color me shocked.
And you did bring up a good point about Bianca, because I think for me, the Bianca thing is like it's a little bit of a gray area, because she had her run, she had a fantastic WWE title run, right? It was what, over a year, right?
Yeah.
Was she champion for like over a year? So she had a great run. I think she's in a situation where, you know, they paired her up with Jade because they want Jade to get better. And, you know, that's the whole aspect. I get it. At the same time, it just feels like it's kind of just like, you know, it's just stagnant. There's nobody's being elevated in the situation. Bianca's not being elevated. Jade hasn't been elevated. And she's the one that needs it the most, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, we're in a situation where everybody wants to say that they're building a story. There's no story there, you know? And
they
honestly,
haven't started the building a story. They haven't been teasing any type of dissension. They're merely trying to establish them as a partnership and a friendship right now, which I think they're doing a well enough job with it, but they aren't a focal point. They haven't been in the top 3 most important things going on SmackDown in weeks.
Yeah, and then also it's going to get to a point that because this is going to be dragged out for so long that by the time, if they do have a WrestleMania match against each other, it's not going to really mean much, you know? And that's why they're kind of in that situation where it's like, it's not really a good situation, you know? And when it comes to Jade, you know, I've been critical on Jade, but my criticism is not more so on Jade. It's more so of when they signed her, what they wanted to present. They presented her as this big signing. You know, they had her go to TV show, right? Present that she was this big signing. Triple H goes on his press conference saying, "Oh, we'll bring her out there when she's ready." And then there's times when we've seen her, it's like, "Oh shit, she probably wasn't ready." You know, and it's not her fault. There's no fault to her own, but it's like there's just certain things that I'm like, it's gotten to a point that I'm like, everyone, there's no debate of what run was better. Her AEW run was better. Like there's no debate when it comes to that, you know. And it's unfortunate because I mean, you know, I think she could do a lot more. I think she's capable of, and she's just in a situation where she's stuck in a tag team, and none of them are being elevated, and we just don't know what direction they're going right now.
Yeah, because I think that a lot of people to know with the comparison to our AEW run, we got to be fair, and if we're just going to account for like her first 6 months in AEW, in her first 6 months in AEW, she was undefeated, and they were in the process of creating a whole fucking title for her. Like they realized the star that they had in Jade Cargill. I think that WWE also realized the star that they have in Jade Cargill, and it will eventually lead to a matchup with Bianca Belair at WrestleMania. But at this point, I'm not even sure it's going to happen at this WrestleMania. They may drag it out even more and make them a tag team and try to pull the trigger on an eventual matchup for WrestleMania 42 instead of 41. You never know with WWE and the way Triple H books.
Yeah, and you know, and that's also one of the things when it comes to Triple H's booking is that he drags shit out a little too long, and I think that's why a lot of people started to see that. That's why there's like this running meme of it about like, oh, something about dragging it out, about like somebody dragging out arguments, and they posted up a picture of Triple H. They said a person that's dragging out the argument, and it was a picture of Triple H. Because he does. Yeah. I was like, regardless of what people want to say, he drags a lot of shit.
And Python Finish is absolutely right. He says, and they can try to blame that AEW didn't train her right, but the reality is WWE has her now and hasn't trained her properly either. They should have started her off on NXT. You see the improvement of the women that they keep in NXT. They have further developed because they're in the Performance Center. They're able to work on their matches for a week with the different talent that they work with, and they're developing a lot faster than Jade. And yes, Jade had experience on national TV, and that's the reason why she went directly to the main roster instead of going to NXT. But I said from the very beginning, they should have started her off in NXT. If you really think that she is not trained properly, then keep her in the Performance Center for a while. They did not do that, and we're seeing that she probably should have.
Yeah, and I think that's why when it comes to the AEW stuff, I think with the AEW stuff, I think it's a little bit more forgiving because AEW doesn't have a Performance Center, right? Once you get signed, it's basically like, all right, you're basically out there, or they'll keep you like in Ring of Honor. But Ring of Honor is not really a development thing. It's not really a development brand. WWE has the tools to do that, right? They have the Performance Center, which they said she was training at. They have NXT, which is development. So they have the tools to do it. So in comparison, Triple H took that shot at AEW. I mean, granted, right? Like you said, the first 6 months that they did, right? She was undefeated and they built a new title for her. This is somebody that they did this with that had no wrestling experience prior. Remind you, she had zero wrestling experience. Like she had zero experience in wrestling. She didn't know independent shows. She didn't do none of that stuff. She went straight to, they saw how she looked. Oh shit, she looks like a fucking superhero. They signed her and, she was holding her own for the best possible way that she can for somebody that had zero experience. So I think that's why it's a little bit more forgiving of what they were doing with her. But with WWE, again, you have the tools to do it. And it's like, right now, it's just a situation where it's like, you want to see more, but then it's like, it just comes down to like how they're going to use her and booking wise, like she's going to be stuck in a tag team. What's going to be the situation? Like, like the tag team stuff covers a lot of her holes. But at the same time, I'm like, yo, if this is your big signing and this is somebody that you want to take serious, she's going to have to get away from that eventually.
Yes, but we'll talk more about Bobby Lashley and MVP as that whole situation with them leaving WWE develops in the next couple of weeks. But someone else who also has been removed from the eternal roster for WWE is Tamina. PW Insider reports that while there were rumors that Tamina was removed from WWE's eternal roster, she is currently still in the company, unlike MVP, who is removed from the eternal roster. In fact, she hasn't been removed from the eternal roster, according to PW Insider's report. She is listed in the miscellaneous section. Tamina's last WWE match was back in February, a loss to Michin on main event, but I mean, we'll see about that. I had to note that because I don't want to leave her out of the whole conversation about people being removed from the internal roster. But someone who is still a part of the WWE roster, but we haven't seen in quite some time, is Brock Lesnar, the aforementioned Brock. We talked about him feuding with Bobby Lashley in early 2023. Triple H says that WWE would be open to talking with Brock Lesnar about a potential return. Lesnar has been away from WWE since last year's SummerSlam, and while he was reportedly set to return at the Royal Rumble, he's being referenced heavily in Janelle Grant's sex trafficking lawsuit against Vince McMahon and WWE is said to have put those plans on hold. Triple H spoke with Daily Mail's our good friend Alex McCarthy for a new interview and was asked about the potential for Lesnar to return. He said, and I quote, "You'd have to ask Brock Lesnar that. Brock kind of does his own thing. He's up in Canada, I'm sure, watching his kids play hockey and enjoying life. If and when he decides he would like to do something, we'd be open to the conversation. We'll see." Triple H said after WrestleMania 40 that Lesnar was not gone from WWE, noting that his status is the same as it has been before. He's just home being Brock. During Thursday's edition of Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer addressed Triple H's recent comments regarding Brock Lesnar, who is on hiatus from WWE at the moment. Plans for Lesnar to return to WWE earlier this year were reportedly put on hold when Lesnar was referenced in Janelle Grant's sex trafficking lawsuit. According to Meltzer, lawyers have advised WWE to stay away from Lesnar at the moment due to his connection to the aforementioned lawsuit. Meltzer stated, "If Brock calls and goes, I want to come back for WrestleMania this year, I was told that the lawyers advised nothing to do with Brock right now." Triple H recently commented and said if and when he would be open to that, we'll see. While Lesnar wasn't officially named in Grant's lawsuit, it was later revealed by the Wall Street Journal that Lesnar was the name referenced in connection to the lawsuit. Whether or not Lesnar does return to WWE at some point remains to be seen. Triple H is really going heavy into this nigga still hasn't read this goddamn lawsuit. If he's saying if that's his answer to a Brock Lesnar return and no comment, or we'll have to see. We have a lot of things that we have to go through. We have to pivot. We know the destination is that we want Brock back, but we have to pivot and go in different directions. The GPS doesn't say that it's near right now, but we'll get there. He could have gave something like that instead of what he said, because it seems like he still hasn't read this goddamn lawsuit months later. What do you think?
Same thing. This is a situation where I probably would have preferred him to just say no comment. I can't speak about it right now. Hey, we have a great roster right now. If it happens, that'll eventually happen in the future. So many ways you could have gone about it, but to tease the fact that it's a possibility that he could return like sooner than later, it's probably not a good move. It's not a good move because, again, Brock Lesnar, the way I feel about Brock as a performer is like he doesn't really do it for me. Like, oh shit, Brock Lesnar's back. That doesn't do nothing for me. It's like it's either, oh, he's not on TV, cool. If he's on TV, cool. Like, it doesn't move anything for me when it comes to that. But the fact that this man is not only in a lawsuit, right? He's part of a lawsuit, but the allegations of what he did that's in the lawsuit, that's what makes it bad. And it's like, if you're trying to keep a good faith while this shit is still going on, because it's not going to go away. It's not going away anytime soon. You got to stay away from Brock no matter what. He's not the big moneymaker that he once was, regardless of what people want to convince themselves with, right? He's not Roman Reigns, right? He's not. That's not.
Even though he's paid like Roman Reigns.
Yeah, he's paid like Roman Reigns. So it's like it's like, do I really want to pay a guy $12 million to come back to work less, and he's not really the biggest draw, or do I just want to focus on my roster and what we're doing? Like, it's okay to do that. It's okay, right? That's okay. We don't gotta fucking focus on Brock, because when he comes back, what the fuck he's gonna do? I don't want Brock to go, because honestly, Brock is also in a situation where he's not going after a mid-card title. He's just gonna keep going after the world title or try to be in this big feud. That's not gonna go anywhere. And I'm like, we don't need Brock, but it's just that fucking response was just trash. It was like, what? Like, you mean gotta talk to him and you'll be open? What?
Yeah, I see more and more, because shout out to Kate from Fightful. She was just like, she works in like PR and like publicist work, and she was like, Triple H just lacks any type of media training. Like, he hasn't. It seems like either he hasn't had any media training or he's not open to it.
Yeah, it's either he had media training and he just doesn't give a fuck. That's how it comes off, more like that, because there's no way that you never had media training in WWE, and especially now, the position that he's in. He's basically the corporate face of WWE. When he's out there, that he's the corporate face. Nobody else is. Where's Ari at? Ari's not doing it. He's just pumping in the money for them. He's not going to be the face of the company. Nobody's looking to him to do anything. It's Triple H, right? So for them to try to, for that, I don't think he is in a situation where, oh yeah, he's never had it. I think he's had training. I just think he either sucks at it or he just doesn't give a fuck. That's how it comes off to me.
That's also fair. We do have a super chat donation here from my boy Vala B. Thank you so much, Vala B, for the support. He says, of course Triple H is open to bringing Brock back. After all, he never read the lawsuit. Like, yo, I'm sorry. That's an all-time blunder, in my opinion, as far as like an owner of a company not reading a lawsuit that the company is involved in and admitting it. Like, there's one thing if you don't read it. To admit it, that is an all-time blunder on Triple H's part.
Especially I was gonna say, and also when it comes to the lawsuit itself, one of the biggest factors of the lawsuit has to do with Brock. That's why I'm like, that's the main reason why it's happening.
Yeah. We got another super chat donation here from our boy Chuck Berries. Thank you, brother. It's good to see you in the chat today. He says Vince McMahon had sold Patrol Johnson and Tony Atlas and Junkyard Dog and Coco Beware, and did not do as much as he could have with them. So what makes Triple H any different? That is a good point too. That is a good point. That like people have to acknowledge the fact that although Triple H is a much better booker than Vince McMahon is, who was his teacher? Who was the person that he was basically learned from to become the head of creative? It was Vince McMahon. At the end of the day, like he could be different, have a different mindset, have a different way of thinking when it comes to the booking, and he does, and it's much better television that we got in the Triple H era. But we cannot deny the fact that there was some inspiration and some things that he got from this McMahon.
And it happens. It happens all the time. So that's never gonna go away. That's why it goes back to like what I said. Like they have like the same, but like there's certain things that they've done differently, but it goes back to all the same business practices, and this is a part of it.
Yeah, we got another super chat donation from Chuck Berries. You guys are killing it today. We always enjoy y'all and hearing y'all feedback and takes on whatever we're talking about here. And this is a very a layered conversation that we're having. Chuck Berry saying, and I know that we are in a different age and time, and that's what makes it even worse. Yeah, it's because we have seen, what I feel like honestly at this point that the people that are out there that are saying, do the memes of Shawn Michaels is cooking. I feel like Shawn Michaels has a better understanding of how to book black wrestlers than Triple H does, though.
No, he does. I give him that. I'll give Shawn Michaels that. Shawn Michaels is booking. I do have criticism. It's not like overly like I don't think he's a bad booker. I just think he relies too much of like shit that worked for him. He relies on that a little too much, and I think that it's gonna get to a point that it's like, all right, bro, you're gonna run out of ideas. What the hell are you gonna do next? Because you can't keep doing the same stuff. But that's a different conversation. But I do agree that, yeah, he probably, his booking kind of falls more of like the younger crowd, like the better understanding of what they want. So I do see that with HBK's booking more, compared to Triple H. Triple H is more of like, he has to deal with a bigger market, bigger corporation. So I think that's where he leans more to. But at the same time, I mean, the argument is there, like we said. There's fair points and fair arguments you can make about what people have been saying.
Yeah, and even our producer in our chat, he says, remember in 2020, it was reported that HBK was explaining institutional oppression against black people for someone. HBK is for the culture, fellas. Yeah. Like Trick Williams, Obafemi, the rise of Carmelo Hayes, this all came under Shawn Michaels. Like, Triple H had some black talent that did well in like NXT, like your Big E's of the world, but it isn't as prevalent as it is with the current HBK era of NXT. Like he has really made that one of the points of elevating these African American talent, Wesley's and
and then he's using the other young kid, right? The other young kid that's like 20 years old.
Yeah. Who does not talk like any other black wrestler out there. He talks like a genuine from the hood. I could meet Javon Evans on the corner in the Bronx, and he would talk the same way he's talking on WWE television. It's awesome. It's awesome.
And it just sucks because something like that, like if he goes to the main roster, he's probably gonna be dead in the water, and that's why it's unfortunate. But that's why Triple H needs to, he needs to figure it out when it comes to that. Now, it's a situation.
It's another reason, going back to my original, another reason why Jade Cargill should have started off on NXT.
Yeah, and also it's just, it's a situation where I think if you start doing certain things slowly, I think that's fine, right? When it comes to like black wrestlers and stuff like that, right? I don't want them to like kind of like shift because people are speaking up, like a hard shift, because then you're just gonna make it worse to me. Because now it's gonna be like, all right, you're just doing it to cater to this side. I think if you slowly do it, like make changes, I think that's where it's gonna like really show. Because with AEW, right, when we were hearing the criticisms from how they were using black wrestlers, right, it all started with Big Swole. and then how TK responded to that, right? A lot of people were not happy about it because of how he responded. It was kind of like, damn, bro, why did you do that? Because there was a clip that they took, but he didn't see the full interview where she did praise Tony Khan. There was a lot of good things she said about the guy. There's a lot of good things that she said about the company. But again, the headline was her criticism to like the foundation of how they use certain people, right, in the company. Which I think it was a fair thing. Looking back at it, I think it's fair what she said because there was a lot of truth to it. And now you're starting to see what TK has been doing, right? He made Swerve champion, like you said. He made Swerve a champion, right? And then you saw all the title changes at Ring of Honor. Like those meant something because those were nice little buildups to that.
Yeah. And like Ring of Honor towards like the end, like 2020, 2021, it was very diverse when you had the Mexican talent, you had the black wrestlers like Jonathan Gresham, Shane Taylor rising up the ranks. But like this is like the as diverse, as much representation as we saw during that era in Ring of Honor right now. And it's like I said before, it takes us fans kind of noting that and saying, yo, do better. We gotta say it. Bell with a super chat donation. Thank you so much, Bell. I saw your super chat earlier. I'm saving it for when we get to that topic, which we're about to in a few moments here. So I'll read that one as well, Bell. But thank you so much. She says, when it comes to the lawsuit and stuff, the question should only be going to Nick Khan. In my opinion, he's probably better at handling those kind of questions. Unfortunately, Bell, like we said before, Triple H is the face of the company. He's gonna get those questions, regardless of Nick Khan being like better at handling those type of questions. Those type of questions are gonna come to Triple H when you are putting yourself out here. It's not the Nick Khan era of WWE. It's the Triple H era of WWE. So he should be getting those questions. He has to be getting those questions. We have to, as media, ask him those questions and put him on the spot because he has to be prepared for them. It's not about, oh no, the media shouldn't even be asking him that type of stuff. That's giving him an excuse. That's giving him a pass that he does not deserve if you want to be the face of this company.
Yeah, and I do agree to an extent with Bell when it comes to like, yeah, Nick Khan should be asked about this too. At the same time, the problem with that is that Nick Khan he's barely out in the public eye like the B. So it's like, it's going to be difficult to ask somebody this when they're not, when they travel, they're doing shit behind the scenes, right? They're more like low key, right? Because even when they showed them at WrestleMania in the crowd, that was something new. Everyone was like, oh shit, Nick Khan's in the crowd. He never does that. So it's more of a fate. Like he has to be presented for him to be asked those questions. But because Triple H is the face of when it comes to corporate, Triple H is the face because he's the one that's traveling. He's the one that's being presented. He's the one that in those post media scrums, he's the one that's there and he's the one that's speaking about it. So he's going to be the fall guy when it comes to like, hey, we got to ask you this question. That's just what it comes down to. So, I mean, I get her point. I don't think she made a bad point.
No. Yeah. Like I said, I think she's 100% right that Nick Khan is better at handling those questions because he is. And you know me, I've echoed this a billion times on this channel. Nick Khan deserves more credit for some of the good stuff that Triple H gets credit for. But that goes back to my point of Triple H is going to get those questions because he's always the one bragging about everything good about WWE. So we got to ask him the bad questions too.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I feel. It's like, bro, fuck that, right? You want to take credit for everything? We're going to ask you this shit too. Fuck that.
But let's go into WWE Raw this week. The rating was up 1.793 million viewers watching this week's show. The show featured CM Punk's return with him announcing that he has been medically cleared to compete and Adam Pearce announcing that he will face his arch nemesis Drew McIntyre at SummerSlam. This led to Punk trying to get at Drew, but it also led to Pearce announcing that there will be a special guest referee for that matchup. As we talked about last week, it is none other than the arrival of Drew McIntyre throughout the end of 2023 and early 2024, and arch nemesis, another one, of CM Punk, Seth Rollins, playing the role of Shawn Michaels at SummerSlam 1997 in 2024. Speaking of SummerSlam 2024, you had Gunther kick off the show. The King of the Ring got into an intense pull-apart brawl after his comments against Damian Priest, calling him street trash and a bum. The World Heavyweight Champion came off like a badass babyface, coming down and getting right into the face, popping Gunther in his mouth, and getting into a great pull-apart brawl ahead of next weekend SummerSlam. Speaking of next week's SummerSlam, you had Braun Breaker beat Ilya Dragunov in a great opener to the show to become the #1 contender for the Intercontinental Championship at next Saturday's SummerSlam event. Sami Zayn, the Intercontinental Champion, he teamed up with Jey Uso in the main event to defeat the Judgment Day's World Tag Team Champions Finn Balor and JD McDonough in a very fun main event to the show. Post-match, Breaker came down and laid out the IC champion with a spear to stand tall once again, back-to-back weeks, with Braun ending the show. But the most talked about moment of the show was once again the drama between Rhea Ripley, Dominic Mysterio, and Liv Morgan. Rhea and Dom called out Liv, who said that gorgeous men like Daddy Dom don't like women like Rhea Ripley. Instead, they like women like her. You know, we like this picture. We showed it a lot on Rated Raw Review this week. But Dominic Mysterio had a response for Liv and proved his loyalty to Rhea Ripley when he finally told Liv off, saying that he hates her before stating that he wanted her to get out of his life, making poor Liv cry, as Rhea Ripley was very pleased and licked and kissed Dominic Mysterio on the cheek in the first form of PDA in their relationship in the last 2 years. What did you think about Raw this week, Josh, and the whole angle between Dom, Liv, and Rhea? And is Rhea being played, or do you believe what Dominic had to say?
I don't believe him for shit. I think he's still gonna turn on Rhea. Rhea's an idiot. Is she falling for that? So if anything that happens to her, she did it to herself. You know, as far as like the storyline is going, it's like, I know people are trying to say it's like one of the best ones. It's entertaining, don't get me wrong, but I'm like, okay, cool. It's just a weird thing for me. You know, that's just how I feel about it. Just because like they all are like you know, like Dom is is he engaged? Right? He's engaged. Yeah. He's engaged. Rhea's married. So it's like, all right, cool. Like it's a little weird. And then you have Jay being implemented too, like, you know, him being you know, trying to go to horny jail. So
and his father, Rikishi, is not too pleased. He had some comments on his podcast this week saying that they're trying to break up his marriage, putting him in a storyline with mommy.
Yeah, you know, and that's why it's a little like, he made some good points. I think he made some fair points. Regardless of what people want to say, hey, it's a TV show, it's a storyline. Sometimes people don't handle shit this well. And that's why it's like it's not, you know, if they're all on board with it, right? If there's like a real understanding, all on board, that's different. I think that's okay. But I can see Rikishi why he would feel that way. So I can't really fault him. And that's his son. So, I mean, you know, of course he's going to feel some type of way seeing that, especially if it's just like, all right, bro, like you got Jay to be this hype man and, you know, not really doing anything, going nowhere. And then you got him trying to hook up with Rhea now. Okay, cool. So I could see why he would feel some type of way. But besides that, Raw was better than SmackDown this past week.
It was a good show.
Great opener, because man, that match. fuck. That match was,
Braun and Ilya just have that vibe. They can fight forever. They just have
yeah.
I've seen the matchup so many times, and it's never been bad ever.
Yeah, and they have that going for them. That was a good opening match. It was a great match overall. Like even for opener, you put that opener or main event, that was a great match no matter what. But besides, I mean, again, Raw was good. Like Raw, it was a good show this week. They still been up the stuff with the Wyatt Six. They've been doing some great stuff with that too.
The Uncle Howdy I didn't mention laid out Chad Gable this week after Gable and the Kreese jumped Otis and Akira Tozawa after they lost to Final Testament with Xavier Woods. But I felt like this was the weakest VHS they had with Nikki Cross just screaming.
Yeah, I was just like, what's this? Like, they could have done more with that because Nikki's story, there's a lot more you could tell with that. I would have liked for her to lean to like the whole Nikki Ash stuff because again, that was kind of like a down point. That was like a really rough period. So I think that would have been cool to like at least like her to iterate that, to say something about that. It just didn't happen, unfortunately. So I wonder what they're gonna do with the next two. Joe Gacy, there's some stuff with there because of his stable that was in NXT, and then they split apart. So there's some things you could do with that. And the Dexter Lumis, I think, is probably gonna be like the more intriguing one because he doesn't speak, so he's probably gonna draw something, and that'll be funny. I think that'll be great. Something that could relate to him. So again, like the next two, I think will be more interesting. Nikki has always been out there, has always been but again, there's stories you could have told with that. So I was kind of a little like, okay, cool.
I was disappointed.
I was just like, it was just like, all right, like, whatever. That's how I felt about it. It was like, like whatever. But I did like the fact that this dude did the sister Abigail, and to me, he's really starting to look like Bray a lot. And I think that's why I really like it. Like he's really embracing, not only paying homage to his brother, but it's like you really see it. Like, holy shit, like he's really started to not only look like Bray, but like doing the tendencies of Bray. That's why it's working too.
I agree with that for sure. But we got some news to discuss coming out of Monday Night Raw or WWE in general that we got to go into. It's in the chat here. WWE's Triple H and Nick Khan met with the mayor of London this week to discuss bringing WrestleMania to the UK capital. As Fightful Select reports, the city sent out a press release noting that Khan and Triple H met with London's mayor, Sadiq Khan, and to talk about potentially bringing the company's biggest yearly pay-per-view over to the city. John Cena teased the idea of WrestleMania heading to London when he made an appearance at Money in the Bank 2023 and suggested during his promo that the pay-per-view could go across the pond. Triple H said in the post-show press event that WrestleMania in London would be hard to pull off, but added, "Never say never." Both Mayor Khan and John Cena commented on the meeting this week, with Mayor calling it productive. He wrote, "Delighted to have met with Paul Triple H Levesque and WWE President Nick Khan to discuss making London WrestleMania's first international destination." You know they've been to Canada, right? The meeting was really productive. Talks will continue about how we could turn our ambition into a reality. Cena added that the city of London and all of the UK has supported WWE through thick and thin, and I tried to minimize using the word deserve, so I will use more appropriate terms. I've said it before and stand by it. In my mind, London has earned a chance to host WrestleMania. I won't get to compete when it happens, but I will be there as a fan for sure. That does suck that John Cena will not be able to perform at London WrestleMania because he's the one that put them on the spot and basically tried to be like, yo, get your money up and we'll bring WrestleMania to London. But it looks like it might happen. My question to you is that when do you think it will happen? When will WrestleMania be in London?
My guess is maybe. So I know this year, 2025 is in Vegas.
Yeah.
Did they announce 2026 yet? Like, did they announce
No,
that?
I'm thinking that 2026 will be in Indianapolis because they said
Indianapolis.
that Indianapolis is getting a WrestleMania with that deal they signed.
Yeah. Yeah. Which I know they said a future WrestleMania, so for them it's kind of like it could mean anything because it's kind of like when they do like the baseball trades, right? The baseball trades. It's like, all right, we're getting this player and then a player to be named later. That's what that WrestleMania kind of feels like. Yeah, they say you get a WrestleMania guaranteed. It's just not this year. I think it's gonna come down to circumstances. If London could put up the money for it, I think it could happen sooner than later. I think my guess is gonna be between 2026 and 2027. I think they're gonna try to do it a lot sooner than later. That's just my opinion on that. Because again, it's a big market for them, something new, something they've been wanting to do for a long time, and if they're able to do it, I think they're gonna do it sooner. I don't see them stretching it out for another like 2029. I don't think it's gonna happen then. It could happen then, but I think they're gonna try to pull the trigger as fast as possible because they have been doing a lot of the international shows. So this would just be something else for them to brag about.
Yeah, I say the earliest is 2026, only because I believe that will be the first WrestleMania on Netflix. Because their deal with Peacock, I think, ends at the beginning of 2026 or sometime in 2025. Their deal with Peacock's going to end, and I believe they're going to make the simple transition of moving their content library and pay-per-views over to Netflix worldwide. It's already going to be on Netflix outside of the U.S. Coming up in 2025 with Raw moving over there, and I think their content is their backlog of content is going to be on Netflix for outside of the US. But I think that when their deal with Peacock in the US ends, they're moving over to Netflix, and I can see that being the stage. I've said it once, I'll say it a million times until it happens. WrestleMania 42 is going to be the long-awaited Rock versus Roman Reigns matchup, and it feels like that's a bigger matchup to have in the first ever London WrestleMania than it is in Indianapolis. So maybe it's Indy in 2027 and London in 2026.
I would say so. Yeah, this is going to be serious. I think they're going to try to do it sooner than later because I know WWE. We all know WWE, and we all know how they've been doing their international shows. They're going to try to do it as fast as possible. So they'll put this first, and before. They'll put this first before any of the other states here in the U.S.
Facts. We do have a super chat donation about this from Belle. Thank you so much, Belle, for the support. She says, "Here's to my first WrestleMania in my city." Yes, that's awesome. I'm happy for the fans of London. They really deserve all the love they've been getting, whether it's been, AEW with All In London last year, whether it be All In London this year, and then WrestleMania potentially in 2026. We don't know if AEW is going to continue to run Wembley Stadium in the next couple of years, but it's great to see that London is getting more love and appreciation because they've always been one of the best crowds to have a professional wrestling event in front of, whether it be WWE, AEW, or even like an independent promotion. New Japan has great shows with Royal Quest. So like across the board, London always delivers for professional wrestling.
Yeah, and it'll be a great move. So
100% agreed. We got Chief who says, now with streaming, it's a perfect time for London to host WrestleMania so they can break that all-in record. I knew we would get one comment like that. But I don't think that's the main goal, though.
And I'm not surprised that it came from the guy that I expected it from. So
taking shots at the chat. You gotta love us here.
But I also don't think it would happen, especially for two WrestleManias, because of their production. Depending on how they do their production there, they're not going to get all the seats. Like they would have to have a lower stage for that to happen. And WrestleMania, they love to go with their big stages. So
We got Safed who says the crowds in London for WrestleMania is going to be hot and loud. And I would love a WrestleMania that starts at like freaking 3 o'clock in the US and ends at like 7. That sounds like a plan to me. Sounds like a plan to me. But that's not the only news from WWE. And of course, we'll keep y'all up to date on anything, any further notes, further updates in regards to WrestleMania in London. But someone else made a bunch of news this week, and it was someone from the UK, but from Scotland, Drew McIntyre. He raised his social media trolling game up a level on Thursday, sharing a photo on his X account with AEW star and reigning TNT champion Jack Perry. According to McIntyre, the photo he took with Perry is a real photo. He also invoked the infamous line Perry used in August 2023 at AEW All In London. During the event, Perry said, "Real glass, cry me a river." It was in reference to a previous backstage incident with CM Punk in AEW. McIntyre wrote in the caption, "It's a real photo, cry us a river." Punk was fired from All Elite Wrestling in September 2023 as a result of a backstage altercation that took place with Perry at AEW All In at Wembley Stadium. AEW later released footage for last April on Dynamite of the incident that happened. A few hours later, though, after he posted the picture, Drew McIntyre then deleted his tweet that had a photo of him posing with Jack Perry. Following fans speculating why Drew would delete the picture, Worked Wrestling released a report on their feud between Drew McIntyre and CM Punk. Why it said, and I quote, the report reads, "While Drew McIntyre deleted his photo with Jack Perry, there is zero concern of any backstage heat. McIntyre and CM Punk are working closely to craft their feud, and all references to past AEW or backstage issues have been given the green light by Punk ahead of time." I mean, I will say, man, Drew McIntyre is single-handedly with this photo. He's got my vote for him and Punk being the feud of the year. Him and Punk has been great, but that picture was top level trolling, top level. But it is crazy to think that AEW, whether it be because of the real life issues that went on between the Young Bucks and CM Punk, or anything in between, and then the fallout with Punk coming back and having them separate rosters with Collision and everything that happened. But I think it's safe to say Drew McIntyre has gotten more out of Brawl Out and Brawl In than AEW ever did.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, because Drew definitely was at a point where he needed it. And then also, I just wanted to add that the reason how it happened, how that photo happened, is because WWE and AEW, they were also at near San Diego Comic-Con. The AEW did like a show there too. They did like a collaboration with Adult Swim. And WWE also had a panel at San Diego Comic-Con. So there was a bunch of wrestlers, both sides, talents that were at San Diego Comic-Con. Punk was also there as well. So that's what made it even more funny to me. I think Danhausen got interviewed, and CM Punk crossed over his interview. So that's why like that photo, if people ask like, "Oh, how did this happen?" They're at San Diego Comic-Con.
No, I think the photo happened in Nashville because Drew lives in Nashville, and that's where Blood and Guts was at.
Oh, it could be in Nashville, but I know like there was definitely representation in San Diego Comic-Con. It could be.
Yeah, the only reason I said that is because I don't think Jack Perry was there at Comic-Con. I don't think Drew was.
It's possible, yeah. Oh yeah, so it could be possible. But I know like there were like both there were AEW talents and WWE talents at San Diego Comic-Con. I think they did have a panel. I think CM Punk was there. I forgot what he spoke about. He spoke about some shit that wasn't that important.
Yeah, I didn't take any notes from the interview. He had a great interview with Denise Salcedo that you could check out over on her channel. That was good.
Decent.
It was good stuff in there.
Yeah, it was. I think they asked him about like his like what one thing from like the AEW. He brought up Darby Allin, like his matchup with Darby Allin. But I mean, overall, Drew. Man, that photo, yo. Because even Drew deleted it. Hey, the damage is already done, so it's like that shit don't go away.
Exactly. He was like, I could delete it, and they'll think that WWE maybe take it down, and he can use it on the show. Be like, Adam Pearce maybe take down a tweet this week. That's how
if
much
they mention
on
it.
My ass.
Yeah, like, honestly, if they mention that, then I think that's where I think that was by design. If they don't mention it, I really do think that it played a part. I think Musty Phil did get upset about it. It would not surprise me if he got upset.
That's the thing. That's the thing with all of this is that even if he didn't get upset, Drew deleting it, he could play it off like it was because of Punk getting upset because of Punk's reputation. But speaking of CM Punk, we do have a super chat donation here from Vala B. Thank you so much, Vala B. He says Phil is totally fine with this. He's easy to work with now. He's easy to work with. Yes, absolutely. Everyone loves Phil.
He's not fooling me. I mean, I like CM Punk,
and I do think that Punk's people had something to do with the report by Worked Wrestling. I wouldn't be surprised if Punk's people wanted to put whatever story they wanted to put out there, even if it was true or not.
Of course, because they did the same shit when Brawl Out happened and when Brawl In happened. They do the same bullshit where they try to make him look good, and it's just like, man, we know the truth. Like, and it's okay. Like, we all have friends that have bad tendencies. I'm like, I like Phil, but I know he has bad tendencies. Like, it's okay to say that. I know how sensitive he is.
Sure. Speaking of Phil, PW Insider reports that CM Punk and WWE are currently negotiating a new contract. However, there are rumors about the situation that are false. The first is that Punk was signed to a short-term deal and is negotiating a longer deal. This was originally reported by Ibu of WrestleParis, saying that CM Punk was renegotiating a new deal. I don't think he said that it was a short-term deal and he was negotiating a longer one, but he did indicate that Punk was negotiating a new deal and that eventually it was going to lead to Punk, staying with WWE for as long as possible, even forever, and then eventually slowing down his career to go on to run NXT. However, as in regards to him having a short-term deal, that is not true, as WWE sources confirmed that Punk was signed to a 3-year deal back in November of 2023. This would keep him in WWE until November of 2026, unless time is added on for his absence due to injury. There were also reports that Punk was trying to get a deal similar to Bret Hart's in the 90s that would keep him there for 20 years. However, Punk did not approach WWE about negotiations for this latest deal. The two sides are discussing a new contract after WWE approached Punk. Sources noted that WWE wants to get Punk for a bigger deal, and when asked why, the source replied, "New world, huge monies, merch, and socials." WrestleVotes also confirmed that news, saying that WWE was very pleased with CM Punk's numbers that he's been getting in regards to his merchandise, as well as social media views, and they want to have him locked in for a very, very long time. So, more CM Punk in WWE. What a world we're living in. What a whirlwind the CM Punk return to wrestling has been since 2021. It's crazy. It's crazy to look back on. It's going to be its own documentary one day.
Oh, it is. Man, you talking about documentary. You're going to have you're going to need like 5 parts to this guy.
And speaking of people that have deals with WWE but may not be on TV much longer, Pat McAfee this week during the latest episode of the Pat McAfee Show, he announced that he will be returning to ESPN's College Game Day on August 24. He did not immediately reveal what his WWE plans were, but it is likely he will take a break from doing commentary on Raw. That is what happened when he hosted Game Day before, as he took a break from SmackDown at the time. He said, and I quote, "When my contract came up after living a dream alongside that crew that is just as talented off camera as they are on camera, I thought long and hard, am I the right person to be doing this incredible gig? There are millions and millions of people that would love to be sitting in my seat. Am I the right guy for it? Is this what I want to do? The only thing that I kept coming back to is hell fucking yeah. I'm lucky. I'm honored. I'm humbled. I'm grateful. And I'm back. I am returning to College Game Day. And although I don't want to make a big deal out of it, I know it is a big fucking deal that is happening. And there was some drama, obviously, that started lingering. We had chatted about it. Conversation was taking place. And then some lawyer at ESPN tried to be a super genius. I ended up being a free agent. And it was a real moment of looking in the mirror saying, am I the right person for this job? Obviously, the athletic poll came out last year, and I think it was like 50% of the people were like, get this guy the hell off of College Game Day. I'm a College Game Day fan. I enjoyed waking up Saturday mornings and watching the show that propels us into the college football Saturday and inevitably into NFL Sunday. But so for those people to have a terrible morning because of my existence, it was certainly something that weighed very heavy on this here. Dumbass sports stooges heart. That's for real, brother, because we have a show Monday through Friday. Obviously, it's 3 hours every single day. We're lucky to do it. We create it, we produce it. There are 0 people from journalism school here. We are the kind of doing our own thing, but it's a lot of work. I'm my agent. I'm my own representative. I'm my own strategizer. I'm my own schemer along the great boys that I have working here. So it's a lot of effort Monday through Friday. Saturday mornings used to be the only time I was really able to sleep in and get my rest. Then when you get the opportunity to join College Game Day, you can't say no to that. You're talking about one of the greatest shows in the history of television. You're telling about one of the greatest shows in the history of sports media. Whenever I got there, I fell in love with it. So happy for Pat McAfee for another opportunity on College Game Day and whatever gets him off of WWE TV for a while. So I can miss him and then he can come back and I will enjoy him for maybe like 3 months.
Honestly, I was about to say that because I don't think his commentary has been that great. It probably is just me. It's probably just me, but I don't think he's been that great.
It's true. It's true.
It's kind of it's kind of exhausting. It's more his thing. I think it's more exhausting than anything.
Yeah. We got Dion Jacobs. He says, Josh likes CM Punk? ? I couldn't tell. LOL. Just kidding. Got to keep it real, even with the people you like.
That's true.
That's why Josh
I mean, it's true. I mean, I've been saying it for a while. There's people who legit just hate the man. It's a little weird because it's just like you really don't know the guy. I've met him several times, and I've always had a fantastic interaction with him. So on that personal level, I can't say anything like, "Hey, oh, he's an asshole." I've never experienced that. But again, he has bad tendencies, and we all know it at this point. It's okay to call it out. It's okay. Like
it's no secret at this point.
I would be okay with CM Punk if he was to like be more vocal about shit like this. Like if shit bothers him, just say it. I could respect you more. But when you're trying to be like this happy-go-lucky Punk, it's kind of like, bro, shut the fuck up. You know this is bullshit. Just be real about it. That's all I want.
Just keep it real. That's all we ask. Just keep it real, brother. Big Man Dog says Punk running NXT, Sean running SmackDown, and Paul running Raw. I don't see. I really would love that for Sean to get the promotion up to a Raw or SmackDown, but I don't see Triple H giving it off to somebody.
Same, especially if HBK goes to like a SmackDown. There's a lot of shit he would have to change if he goes to SmackDown. A lot.
Yeah, definitely. We got Power Driver Finisher says Punk controversial. I love it, but gotta know when he's capping. Yes. He does.
It's okay. It's like it's okay. That's all I'm saying. It's like it's okay to call it out. It's okay to say it when he's full of shit. It's okay to say it.
We got Power Driver Finisher says 100% in small doses. Like JR was rightfully hyped for Austin, but having that energy for everything, take it down a notch, Bob. Yes, 100%. That's how I feel about Pat. Pat is fine, like Dion said. Pat is fine in small doses, but I don't need him 12 months a year on Raw commentary, please.
Yeah, it gets exhausting, and I get like he's doing certain things that are like out there. It's a little bit different, but it's like, bro, turn it the fuck down sometimes, bro. Like just be regular. you know, and I get it. That's his energy and that's what they want, but it's like, it's exhausting sometimes. And that's just where I'm at with Pat. Like, I think there's a lot of stuff that he covers up. Like a lot of his like funny stuff he covers up with how not good he really is on commentary.
This is fair. Pro Wrestling Noah has announced that Naomichi Marufuji will be a special guest at this year's WWE SummerSlam in Cleveland. That event happens next Saturday, August 3rd. Of course, Marufuji previously wrestled AJ Styles at Noah Destination 2024, which Styles won, but this is a further development in the Pro Wrestling Noah WWE partnership. So good to see a legend going to be a special guest at SummerSlam. Remains to be seen if he's just going to be shown or if they'll do some type of angle with him. We'll have to wait and see until next Saturday. But finally, from WWE, you had WWE NXT this week. The show did 633,000 viewers. The show featured one of the best matches on NXT TV this year as TNA's The Rascalz teamed up once again with Wes Lee in this Rascalz reunion to defeat Axiom and Nathan Frazier, the NXT Tag Team Champions, and their tag team partner, Javon Evans, in a spectacular trios main event. This was a really fun matchup. If you haven't seen it, go out of your way to check out that one. Speaking of TNA, though, the company also presented a video package documenting the rise of Joe Hendry. Ahead of next week, he will have his first NXT edition of his live in concert series. So can't wait to see what type of songs he's got for them Gallus boys. Brooks Jensen beat Josh Briggs in a good no DQ matchup, thanks to a distraction from Sean Spears as Jensen aligned with Spears here. Then you had Ora Mensa defeated Ashanti the Adonis in one-on-one action. Later in the show, Mensa once again got a visual 3 count on NXT champion Ethan Page, this time counted by an actual referee to set up their title match at NXT Great American Bash, which starts next Tuesday. And then you had Trick Williams got a victory over Cedric Alexander in Cedric's first matchup back on NXT. But then it was Raw's own Pete Dunne who attacked Trick Williams from behind, kickstarting their rivalry here as Trick has a little detour before he gets back to the NXT Championship. Then in NXT news, NXT has already, got Julia coming in. They got Stephanie Vaquer coming in, and now they got a third woman from the independent scene about to come in as Delta Brady. Dean Brady's younger sister is making her way to WWE as reported by Fightful Select. Me and Fightful Select's own Corey Brennan actually talked about this young lady on our NXT Battleground preview just last month. But he reports that a few days ago that Delta has caught WWE's attention during tryouts earlier this year. And it was reported on, I believe this was Thursday, that Delta later received and accepted a contract offer from WWE. Sources mentioned that she is set to relocate to the United States this month. While the exact date of her training at the Performance Center in Orlando, Florida is unknown at this time, it is believed that she will debut in the NXT alongside Julia and Stephanie Vaquer once she is settled in. She began her wrestling career in late December 2020 and had a prominent figure in Riot City Wrestling, holding various championships. So I'm looking forward to seeing her. I saw like pictures of her after Corey kind of brought my attention to her. She's got a unique look. You could just see by this picture here. She got a unique look to her. She's had matches in the past with Jordan Grace as well. So I'm waiting to see what she can bring, what different kind of feel she's going to bring. But she is a part of like this new generation of women's talent that is coming into NXT. And it makes it very exciting for what's going to happen when they hit CW in just 2 months from now. What do you think, Josh?
I mean, I really don't know much about her, to be honest with you. I heard about it, but then I'm like, I just don't want to be fake and act like I know her work. And, she does have a unique look. Like if I'm basing off of that, she does have a unique look. And from the looks of it, I mean, they got their Bosch, right? Now they got LeBron, Wade, and Bosch for NXT. So
that's a great way to fit her. She is Chris Bosh. Who's LeBron, though? Who's LeBron? Is that Julia?
I think it's Julia because she was like the Yeah, she was the catalyst of them getting Valkyrie. Even though technically, I mean, Wade was already in the Heat, so you could probably say maybe. But I mean,
Maybe
it is
she's
LeBron's
Wade,
team.
and then Stephanie
Yeah,
Victor is LeBron.
I would say so. Yeah, because she was already on board, and then Valkyrie just decided to go there. Like she could have gone anywhere. She decided to go there, and they got again.
She gotta learn how to win championships here. She gotta learn how to win championships. NXT. Taking her.
I mean,
She told AEW, CMLL, and New Japan. She's like, taking my talents to South Beach.
take my talents to the PC.
To PC Beach. We got Big Man Doug says she's 5'8", and so she's pretty big. Yeah, compared to a lot of the female talent, that's tall. She's a tall one, so should be very interesting when she gets to NXT as well. Final note from NXT and WWE overall is that Joe Hendry made a surprise appearance at Friday's NXT live event, competing in a 6-man tag against Gallus. The TNA star, who has made several appearances on NXT TV in recent weeks, showed up and teamed up with Javon Evans and Shalom Hill against the trio of Mark Coffey, Joe Coffey, and Wolfgang. Gallus picked up the victory here, but once again, Joe Hendry making an appearance for NXT. And another note from in regards to NXT, former NXT UK Women's Champion Meiko Satomura announced her retirement this week. Meiko has been, a stalwart of Joshi Wrestling. She is also the owner and founder of Sendai Girls. Has a storied career. She plans on retiring in April of 2025. So we're going to see in the past 2 years, in 2024, 2025, we're going to see the retirements of Sting, John Cena, Meiko Satomura, and the end of the full-time run of Bryan Danielson. It's been crazy the amount of talents that we've seen either debut in different companies or retire or end off their full-time runs in the past 2 years. But Meiko Satomura, an absolute legend. She was a part of WWE's tour of Japan this week, where she teamed up with Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair, and Bayley to defeat Damage Control and Tiffany Stratton on one show. And then she went one-on-one with Bayley for the WWE Women's Championship on a show in Osaka this weekend, which Bayley was able to retain, but Bayley getting a big check off her bucket list going against Meiko Satomura in Japan. You gotta love that for Bayley.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I heard about it too. I was like, oh shit. It's just that we haven't seen her in a while, right? It's been a long time. So when I heard that she was still like, what? She still had like a WWE contract? I was like, oh, she did? Because I haven't seen her.
Yeah. Jordan Grace going to WWE would be Kevin Durant going to the Golden State Warriors. to put it in basketball perspective for you, Will Chisholm. Thank you, Will.
So Jordan Grace goes to where she is about to Kevin Durant.
Kevin Durant going to the Golden State Warriors. They already got a championship team. You don't need to go, but she's still going to come. AEW, let's go over to the converse. AEW Dynamite Blood and Guts this week. Both of you watched it live on the channel. I reviewed it, but we'll go through it very quickly here. They did, we got a run-in before that. Hello. Oh, you just wanted to open the door on me. Okay. AEW Dynamite Blood and Guts did 786,000 viewers. Good showing, although down from last week's 250th episode. But boy, oh boy, did they have a main event this week. The show featured Team AEW defeating the Elite in an absolutely fantastic bloody. Oh my God.
What just happened?
I need a moment. She knocked down my camera.
Oh, I was like, what was that? I was like, yo. Oh shit.
She knocked out my phone and my camera. I got the camera, but hello. You want to say hi? To say hi since you slammed the door on my knee?
She's like, oh, yo. I was like, what just happened? Yo.
Jesus Christ. Why did you have to slam the door on me like that? Hi? Just hi? That's not sorry? She took my missus' phone. Apparently, that's why she was running in here. She was trying to escape. But gotta love having kids, y'all. I'm previewing Josh's future with Wendy. But Blood and Guts was absolutely fantastic. You had Team AEW getting the victory, had a vile steel chair shot, but man, the highlight for me was the rivalry between Swerve Strickland and Hangman Adam Page. But Team AEW got the victory thanks to Darby Allin, who threatened to burn Jack Perry alive to get Matthew Jackson to quit for Team Elite, and he got a shot at the AEW TNT Championship at All In. The match was highlighted by several amazing performances from the likes of Mark Briscoe, from Darby Allin, from Jack Perry. The Elite was awesome. Okada was hilarious. And of course, the tremendous rivalry between Swerve Strickland and Hangman Adam Page, and the crowd had the crowd eating out the palm of their hand. Also on the show, you had Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, beat Hikaru Shida. Post-match, Mercedes Moné came out to once again turn down the challenge of Britt for All In, only for former NWA Women's World Champion Camille to make her re-debut to join Moné as a heater. Yeah, Chris Jericho, he picked up a win over Minoru Suzuki in a hard-hitting clash to retain the FTW Championship. And his chest was bleeding like his nipple done ripped off. And you had Mariah May beat Caitlin Alexis in a squash matchup. Post-match, timeless Toni Storm made her return to brawl with May before letting her know that she is prepared to die for this. And then finally, you had MJF, Maxwell Jacob Freeman, threw the FTW International Championship in the trash. He insulted his rival, Will Ospreay, his recently deceased grandmother, Jesus Christ, Max, and introduced the AEW American Championship, which this led to Will Ospreay interrupting to announce that he will have his rematch for the International Championship against MJF at All In London coming up on August 25th. What did you think? Overall thoughts on Blood and Guts this week?
Blood and Guts, I thought it was a really good show. The opening was hilarious. The belt looks nice. The MJF belt looks nice. I'm gonna call it that because people they got confused of like, oh, is this like a brand new title that they're changing again? It's like, no, this is just probably for MJF because Will did the same thing. Remember, MJF basically did what Will did with the IWGP US title. Yeah. So it was basically the same thing, but it's funny. Especially that American flag. Did you see like all the stars had MJF's faces on it?
His face.
Yo, that was hilarious. As far as Blood and Guts go, I mean, it was what I expected. It was super violent, super like made you feel uncomfortable at times, which is good. I think if you do matches like this and they make you feel uncomfortable, in my opinion, that's a good thing because that's them doing their job. So they did that a lot, especially that staple spot. Oh my god! Like,
that staple spot that gave me life. Swerve getting jumped with staple guns and then laughing it off before he just went super ham. Like Swerve felt like an absolute megastar in that matchup.
And then he stapled Okada's middle finger because he tried to give him the middle finger. And
no, you can't break in. You can't break in. You put some clothes on, and then you can break in. All right.
You know what's funny? A lot of people were pointing that out. They're like, "Yo, Okada went in there like unscratched," but yeah, he was still performing. I think that's how you do it. Like, if you don't want to get no cuts, no bumps, or like anything like that, you do what Okada did. Like you do it like that.
Okada is up there with Kevin Nash as one of the greatest workers of all time. He went in there. He went in unscathed. All he had to do was take a staple shot to the finger. That's all he had to take.
Yeah, and I mean, overall, I mean, the way the match ended too was hilarious. Like he was about to set Jack Perry on fire. I was kind of scared because I was like, yo, I really hope they don't do this because Jack did he does have experience of being set on fire. So I was kind of like, oh, please. don't let them do this. And then I like the fact that Matt gave Darby the title match, but then that wasn't good enough, and then he had to quit. He still had to quit anyway.
But I think that the finish was off to a lot of people because he did it in the wrong order. He should have asked him to quit first and then say, no, I'm still gonna light him on fire if you don't give me the shot at All In. That's the order he should have done it, because it just felt off the way that the finish came off.
Yeah, I can see that.
They did.
Yeah, I can see that, but I also see the other way where he gave him the title shot. So it's like, all right, I gave you the title shot. I gave you what you wanted. Just please leave him alone. Don't do it. And then he was like, I'm gonna do it anyway. And that's what he said. Okay, I quit. Don't do it. It was freaking. I mean, it was great. The fucking match was, again, it was violent as fuck. Bowens showed out like so much. I was happy to see that.
Bowens had a standout performance. It literally led to a conversation on AE Ramble this week of me and Jimmy being like, we really need to discuss breaking up the Acclaim, because Bowens is a star on his own. He's just so much better. He's the better talker and the better worker than Max Caster at this point. Like it used to be like the New Age Outlaws of Road Dogg was always the better talker, but Billy was always the better worker. And that's what the Acclaim were 2 years ago. But Bowens is so good as the fire it up babyface in these promos that they did, even the one after Blood and Guts, where fucking Max is saying, and that's right. After everything he fucking says, it was so annoying, while Bowens was great on the mic after the matchup. Like, he's the better talker and the better worker, and he put his body on the line and did a lot more than I expected in that matchup.
Yeah, he did. I'm seeing Big Mad Dog's comment about like the flag. I'm like, what? That ain't no damn Confederate flag. Like, what?
So I think talk about the American Championship, because it does have like it looks like the Texas state in the middle. But
it does, yeah. It was just like half a flag. Right? When he said Confederate, I'm like, I don't think it's that, Chief, and I don't think they will like. I don't think they like MJF's kind too much.
Nah,
just saying. I'm just saying.
Blood and Guts came along with some controversy as Corey Graves wasn't a fan of the Jack Perry taking an unprotected chair shot to the head on Dynamite. The Blood and Guts matchup that main evented Wednesday show saw Perry get handcuffed to the side of the cage, and at one point Mark Briscoe waffled him in the head with a chair. Graves, who retired from the ring due to concussion issues, posted to his Twitter account and wrote, "This is not meant to sound judgmental or incite us versus them or question anybody's passion or talent or intentions. This is just coming from a guy whose career ended from a few too many accidental headshots. The art of this business is protecting ourselves and each other. Trust me, the gaps in memory are not worth it, I promise." Graves has since deleted the tweet. Some fans online have defended the spot, arguing that the chair was gimmicked. Speaking with Sports Illustrated, the Young Bucks discussed Blood and Guts, and on the Jack Perry chair spot, Nicholas Jackson said, "All I know is that Jack is fine, and that's all that matters. We know the risks were taken in the ring, and it wouldn't have happened if he wasn't prepared for it." So, I mean, I am kind of in the middle where I think that both things can be right. That these guys can put their bodies on the line, and it's their choice to do this type of spot. That, yes, the chair was gimmicked, and it's the gimmick to try to protect the person involved. But Corey Graves said nothing wrong. Nothing. Yeah. He didn't even have to delete the tweet, in my opinion. He said nothing wrong, and he came from a professional standpoint, and it was in good faith, his tweet as well. Like, he made sure to condition his tweet, and I don't think he said anything wrong at all.
Yeah, he didn't say anything wrong, especially for somebody who's had past experiences. As far as the chair shot spot goes, it is what it is. It happened. The reason why I'm not too harsh on it is because, it was Mark Briscoe who did it. And Mark Briscoe is not going to put himself in a situation where, he knows if he can hurt somebody, he's going to hurt somebody. Like, he's a professional, right? You're talking about one of the guys in the business who's been in the business for like 15, 16, 17 years. So, if everybody's going to take that, it's going to be him when it comes to something like that, right? Which I'm not justifying it. I get people's concerns. I think the only reason why Corey might have deleted it is because it leans not his tweet, not what he said, but I think it's more of the Twitter perception of this whole tribalism, this whole grifting kind of aspect of things. That's just me taking a guess. I think that's why he deleted it, because
I thought he deleted it because probably someone in AEW told him it was a gimmick chair.
Maybe it could be that, but I also think it was more of like the argument of like, if he speaks up, says something, people are going to take it as, oh, this is him shit on AEW. And I think that's why he took it out, right? Because a lot of people, again, I think a lot of people, these are good conversations to have, right? These, like, you know, when it comes to concussions, chair shots and stuff like that. But I just think that it kind of twists the wrong way when people want to make it a WWE versus AEW kind of thing. And I think that's where it becomes bad faith. And I think that's why he deleted it.
Which is also fair as well. But we have some better news as far as this is both WWE and AEW adjacent kind of conversation or news. Beth Phoenix is no longer under contract with WWE. According to PW Insider, multiple sources have confirmed that the WWE Hall of Famer is now no longer under contract and is thus a free agent. FIFO Select provided an update noting that the 43-year-old Phoenix is in amazing condition and that she could likely compete again if she chooses. The subject of her possibly appearing for AEW has been broached backstage in All Elite Wrestling, but they haven't heard definitively if the two sides have had any conversations. While she couldn't use the Phoenix name, Beth is her legit first name, so she could just go by Beth Copeland, since she is the wife of Adam Copeland, an AEW star. While FIFO has not heard of any imminent plans, one AEW source indicated that if she were to come in, it would likely be when her husband Adam Copeland returns from injury. Beth had been backstage at multiple AEW shows since Copeland signed with the company in October of 2023. Phoenix last competed for WWE at Elimination Chamber in February of 2023, and she had a run before that as a commentator on the NXT brand that lasted from May through September of 2019. What would you think about Beth Phoenix or Beth Copeland coming to AEW? And boy, oh boy, I know I have a laundry list of dream matches I would love to see for her. Love to see her versus Mercedes Moné, her versus Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, Adam Cole and Dr. Britt versus Beth and Adam Copeland. I love to see Beth Phoenix go one-on-one with Athena. Come on, give me Jamie Hayter. Come on, Timeless Tony Storm. Come on, I got a whole list. I would love to see Beth, if she was able to, in good shape, Beth Copeland in AEW. I feel like that's a no-brainer. What do you think?
I think it'll be a solid move. She's not going to take anybody's spot. I think if she could help out the division in any way, in ring, backstage, I think it's a solid move. Definitely would help out a lot. And then, you know, she doesn't have to like, those are a lot of good matchups. But she also doesn't have to like wrestle all the time, because she hasn't been doing that even before that. So like there's certain things that, you know, she has certain experiences when it comes to that. I will say, and I'm gonna be very honest, I wasn't a big fan of her commentary work that much. Unfortunately, that's just how I feel about it, because a lot of stuff that she did, I felt like it was a little too forced. You know, like when you do like those kind of big spots, those big angles kind of thing, you want to sound as natural as possible. There was a lot of times where I felt like she kind of just forced herself too much. At the same time, I could understand why, because commentary is not like her go-to. It's not something that she's familiar with. So maybe over time she got better at it. I'm not too sure, but I know there was times when I tried to hear her, I was like, oh, I don't know. I was like, nah, I'm not liking this. You know, and it's unfortunate because I'm like, I don't want to be that kind of guy, but I'm like, it is what it is.
That's fair. That is fair. But we got more news in regards to someone who hasn't been on AEW television in quite some time. Jon Moxley. He hasn't been seen on AEW television since Forbidden Door, and the Wrestling Observer newsletter had a report saying that AEW has finally given Jon Moxley some time off. He hasn't been wrestling or been backstage since the Forbidden Door pay-per-view. But man, I'm happy for Mox, yo. Like, come on, like. This dude went 2 years of them telling him, oh, you could go on vacation. But CM Punk had to cause some trouble. They needed him again and again. I'm glad he finally getting some time off for himself and spend it with the family.
Same. I was like, wow, it only took you 2 years to get a vacation, finally.
Hey, better late than never, I guess. But with Moxley away, someone else has come into AEW after a long wait. Camille. Camille is officially all elite, with Tony Khan announcing that she had signed with the promotion after Dynamite in her re-debut. Khan wrote on social media that she returned to AEW last night on Wednesday night. AEW Dynamite appeared beside TBS champion Mercedes Venado today at Comic-Con, and now it's official. Camille _Brick is all elite. Fightful Select reports that Camille's debut was kept very quiet and kept to the vest by most people involved. She has been signed with AEW and getting paid by the company since February. She was backstage in January, and that was followed by contract negotiations, and her signing and graphics and things of that nature for her debut have been ready for a while. So finally saw Camille. What do you think about the Camille association with Mercedes Moné? I think it's a no-brainer. I think we've mentioned it many times when we talked about her not being on television, that the perfect spot for her was to be aligned with Mercedes as a heater. We've said for months that Mercedes needed a heater, so it makes all the sense in the world. But what was your reaction to finally seeing it come to fruition?
It was great. And on a personal level, I'm super happy for Camille. She's another person I met several times. Really dope person to meet. Super nice, super generous. So on a personal level, like, it was nice to finally see her on TV. And I think this could be great things. I think she's able to do great things. As far as her being paired with Mercedes, yeah, I agree. No brainer. Like, this is the best way to do it. And she has experience of being a heater, right? She has experiences from it, even though when she was with Nick Aldis, it was kind of a different kind of way. She was more of like an insurance policy. That's how he presented her, which was great for her. Again, she has experience. She was NWA Women's Champion for a long time. So good things are going to happen, I believe. And, this just tells me maybe they bring in back, what's her name? What was the other person that was available? That's available? Yeah, they might bring her. Like, they might bring her back. So, it could lead to things that could be added on to the women's division that's already good. Like, the women's division has already been good. So I think this is just going to help them.
Absolutely agree with you there. We do have a super chat donation from our good brother Vala B. Thank you so much, Vala B. He says, shout out to Mark and his son Jay Briscoe, little Jay Briscoe, for that collision segment. Mark cutting a Mark promo with the baby looking like that's just Pops, and Kyle in the background. Yes, that was great.
No, that was great. Now, I was kind of worried because I was like, yo, I hope the baby doesn't cry. Like, that's what I was like worried about. But yo, the baby held his own. He was just like, yo, he was mad into it too.
Yo, the baby got a future. It's got a future in the wrestling business as the first time out. Man, that was a great segment on Collision last night. Great stuff by Mark Briscoe, who is quickly becoming my favorite babyface in all of professional wrestling, especially after Blood and Guts. And this week, we'll talk about ROH Death Before Dishonor in a bit here as well. Byron Kidd saying the AEW women's division is eventually going to need their own show. I just want it to keep going in this direction. It's going up.
It doesn't need its own show now.
It doesn't need its own show. It just needs to be prominently featured like it has been doing right now.
Yeah, if you do women's matches, if you do like 1 or 2 women's matches a night, like, even if you do one women's match, If you have a women's segment or you have multiple women's segments, that's going to help the division. That's what they've been doing. Because I think even on because I think even on Blood and Guts there was 2 women's matches.
Two women's matches, and they had the post match with Timeless Tony and Mariah May. They had the post match with Camille's debut, and they had the backstage segment with Willow and Chris Statlander.
And then even on
Women's World Championship Eliminator.
Yeah, and then even on Collision too, there was a lot of like women's. There was a lot of there was the match. Right, there was like how many matches on Collision?
I think they had two on Battle of the Belts, and then 1 on Collision. But I think they had another segment on Collision as well.
Yeah, so like that's 3 matches with So I mean, that's all you really need to do because I think one of the things like what I was alluded to before, I don't want them to do things to try to force it, right? Like they push like the whole Blood and Guts like women's Blood and Guts match, which would be dope. However, I want it to mean something. I don't want it to be forced because all right, the women need it. The women need their first match. Let's just do it. I don't want that. I want it to mean something.
But finally, final note before we get into Collision and Battle of the Belts as well as Rampage, AEW has posted an extended cut of the interview that aired on Dynamite this week with Bryan Danielson talking to Renee Paquette. And in it, Danielson revealed that his contract with AEW expires on August 1st. On when his contract expires, he says, yeah, that's true. August 1st, actually next Thursday, my wrestling contract is up, which happens to be my son's 4th birthday. On not trying to hold AEW for more money, he says, so I'm not saying this. Tony talked about this in an interview, so I feel comfortable talking about it. I'm not MJFing at this. I'm not trying to use my contract to be like, oh, I'm going to get all the money. Somebody give me all the money. Yeah, my contract is up August 1st. And when I signed this contract, me and Bree, we talked about how this would be the last wrestling contract I was going to sign. So yeah, part of me is wondering what life is like after this. Part of me is excited about that. But right now, even though Wembley is after this, I still have to focus on that. That's got to be kind of my focus. So yeah, it's a wild time. We saw in the segment that Jeff Jarrett interrupted to be like, yo, you got like 1 foot out of the door. You need to focus on everything. So taking it into that account, as well as after the huge crowd reaction for Swerve Strickland and Hangman Adam Page to Blood and Guts, I'm going to ask you, Josh, do you think AEW should pivot in any way for the All In main event, for the Hangman, getting Hangman inserted in some way into All In main event over a standard Swerve versus Bryan matchup? Not saying that the Swerve and Bryan matchup is not going to be great, but I don't think there's any denying that the hottest feud in AEW right now is Swerve Strickland and Hangman after Blood and Guts.
Yeah, it's such a slippery slope for me because like once they announced Danielson versus Swerve, I was kind of like, all right, this is what we're getting. So my mind is wired differently when it comes to like, all right, this is the match we're getting. I'm okay with that. So for them to try to maybe, like you said, like pivot or anything is like, how would they do that? Like, what's the best scenario that's going to work out for everybody? Because, I mean, Danielson, does he need a title match? My opinion, not really. But I get why they're doing it because they're building up this whole suspense of his last full-time schedule being a wrestler and all that stuff. So it's not really a retirement. So, you can still have that match in a sense because I'm like, he didn't say full-time. He didn't say he's retiring. You know what I mean?
Like that's why I'm like, I'm like, I am the biggest Bryan Danielson fan I know. I saw him from Ring of Honor, get to WWE, main event WrestleMania. I've been with him every step of the way since become a Ring of Honor fan back in like 04, 05. And I've seen him go through all the highs and the lows, and I've loved his run in AEW. But I mean, I do believe that all it's going to take is a really great Bryan Danielson promo for me to be into this main event. But like after Blood and Guts, I'm just like, how can you deny the fact that Hangman Adam Page was the right choice to win the Owen? He was. Yeah. He just was.
No, he was. Yeah, he was. And that's why he was my pick to win it. Like I was like, he's gonna be the wild card and he's gonna win it. Because I really thought that they were gonna run with that because there's some suspense there, there's heat there, there's something there, right? There's substance there. But between Danielson and Swerve, there's no substance there because there hasn't been any real interaction between them. And also, both guys, they respect each other. So it's not like you can't really build anything off of that unless if Danielson starts cutting like these great promos that he does. And that's all you really need from him. You get like one or two great like promos from Danielson, then it could mean something. But because of the reaction that they got at Blood and Guts, once they got into the ring together, that fucking crowd got lit the fuck up. So it was
electric. Electric. When they just stared at each other before they even touched each other after the Hangman attack, when he attacked him on the outside and handcuffed him, and just him being like, you should have never had the world championship. And I know there's some people that was like, oh, it's not even about the world title, you could do Swerve and Hangman without the title. No, you can't. The whole story is about Hangman doesn't think Swerve even deserves to be champion.
Yeah, you had to include the title, because then if Hangman takes away Swerve's title, guess what? He took away Swerve's like what Swerve been working for. Just like he feels Swerve to what he did to his family. Like you need something there. Like you need something that's on the line for it to be there. So that's why I agree with you when it comes to that. Like, nah, it needs to that's what they need. They need that to happen.
Yeah. Like, Swerve's going to have to lean towards heel against Bryan for this to really work in the next 3 weeks to heat up this all-in main event. But we shall see how that's going to work out. But AEW Collision was last night, along with another hour of AEW content with Battle of the Belts. You had on AEW Collision, the show featured Pac defeating Leo Rush in a good main event. Meanwhile, you had FTR beat MXM Collection in a very good tag team bout in MXM's AEW debut. After their initial debut with the company on Ring of Honor, Death Before Dishonor, they had a very good matchup here with Dax and Cash, as well as FTR showing respect to the MXM. Then you also had the conglomeration running wild as Orange Cassidy beat Johnny TV in a decent opener. Post-match, Taya Valkyrie and Johnny attacked OC until Willow Nightingale made the save, while Mark Briscoe, Tomohiro Ishii, and Kyle O'Reilly defeated Premier Athletes. Before that, you had Mark Briscoe induct his baby son, Little Jay Briscoe, into the conglomeration group in a very fun promo that included Kyle O'Reilly playing catch with baby ROH World title as well, which was hilarious. And then you also had the Blackpool Combat Club, represented by Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta, beat Top Flight and the team of Brian Cage and Lee Moriarty in a solid three-way tag match. But the match of the night for me was Hologram defeating Beast Mortos in a super fun Lucha Libre showcase. And that led in nicely to Battle of the Belts 11. The show featured Timeless Tony Storm defeating Taya Valkyrie in an eliminator matchup. Post-match, Storm cut a promo on Mariah May, telling her that she was perfect and was even a better Tony than she was. You want to show the people your new phone?
The new phone. Look at this.
This is like your YouTube tutorial about your new phone?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's on your new phone? Tell the folks at home what's on your new phone.
The new one.
It's a new one?
Yes, I do.
And tell them bye, and tell them like and subscribe.
Not sure subscribe.
Okay. All right. Thank you for the running. We love you. Post-match, Storm cut a promo on Mariah May, telling her that when she had her at her knees bleeding and screaming, that she should have cut her bloody head off. Man, Tony Storm is killing these promos since the heel turn of Mariah May. Willow Nightingale, she picked up a win over Deonna Purrazzo in a rock-solid CMLL World Women's Title Eliminator, thanks to help from Thunder Rosa, who took out Taya Valkyrie when she tried to interfere. And finally, you had Dustin Rhodes and the Von Erichs defeated Undisputed Kingdom in a pretty good trios main event to win the Ring of Honor World Six-Man Tag Team Championships. Then over on Rampage, baby, the show featured Darby Allin won the 3rd annual Royal Rampage by last eliminating Claudio Castagnoli in his 2nd straight win in the Royal Rampage. He will now get a shot at the AEW World title at AEW Dynamite Grand Slam in September at Arthur Ashe Stadium. The Don Callis families, Roosh and Kyle Fletcher, they beat Private Party, the Outrunners, and the Righteous in the main event as well. But Darby Allin, man, this dude being greedy. This dude out here getting almost committing arson to get a TNT championship matchup at Wembley Stadium. And then he wins the Royal. It was taped on the same night as Blood and Guts. He goes right out there after Blood and Guts and earns himself an AEW World Title matchup. I mean, I don't know about this choice. This was a choice, but Darby Allin, he's eating good right now. What do you think about Darby winning Royal Rampage?
I mean, yeah, like you said, it was cool. It was a little surprising. I was like, what the hell? But people wanted Darby to get some kind of push, and they wanted to feel he's important, and that's what they've been doing. So, especially with all the stuff that he's been through, he had the broken foot, and then he got hit by a bus, and then he's performing in Anarchy Arena, then he's doing Blood and Guts. So I mean, if you're gonna give it to a guy, like he's shown like he's about the business, like you need him out there, he's gonna do it. So it's like I'm not too mad about it just because of like he's proven himself at this point where it comes to like if you go, this is a guy you're gonna rely on. So I mean, hey.
Yeah, he is. He is probably the most reliable of the 4 pillars and unproblematic of the 4 pillars as well.
That's saying a lot for a guy who throws himself, gets hit by buses, and does all these crazy stunts. Like that's saying a lot.
Yeah, I love the new look of Timeless Toni Storm that she has. She looks unhinged in this whole timeless character, but still looks unhinged with the new hair and the eyebrows. It's really good stuff. I also agree with
funny. Yeah, it's been funny.
Yeah, and her promos almost feel like she's like crying in the voice. Like you're gonna cut my bloody head off. Like she's just unhinged right now, and I'm loving every moment of it. And the glasses, big man does. Watch the product. She took the glasses from Taya Valkyrie. That's why. Power Driver Finisher says Hologram versus Multiverse was tight as fuck. I did watch that. Yo, Hologram, how did he get so over? Like, yo, they were cheering his name at the start of the matchup. And then he just delivered an even better showcase of himself against Beast Mortos last night.
Yo, that match was fun as fuck. I was like, because when it came to Collision, I was just like, let me take a look. Let me watch Collision. I did enjoy last week. I was like, I got time. Let me watch Collision, and it ended up being a good show. Like a lot of good wrestling on it, a lot of good stuff overall. But that was probably my favorite match of the night. Like they absolutely killed it, especially that dying suicide dive. Where
he looked like Mortal could catch him, but he just floated and they just fell all the way to the ramp.
That was one of my favorite spots, like low key, because I was like, that was dope. Because that's how it should look. That's how it needs to look, right? And then there were a few spots in the match that I was like, oh shit, how they gonna do this? Like it scared the shit out of me, especially that top rope spot. Like that scared the shit out of me. When he reversed it to the Hurricane Rana. But he's good. And I can see why TK is like really invested. And I think that's important for him too, because it's like, hey, I've been working on this character. This is something I want to do. And so far it's been working out.
To answer Big Man Dogs, he says, wait, I thought Christian was the ROH 6-man tag belts. The whole stupid angle that I complained about enough on this channel about Christopher Daniels stripping the Bang Bang Gang of the unified titles. They then were split. So Christian and the Patriarchy only won the trio championships last week. And then they decided the ROH 6-man titles on Battle of the Belts. And that's how Dustin and the Von Erichs won, which I didn't like that choice. I mean, it was a nice little moment for Dustin, especially his first title win since signing with AEW. But I thought the Undisputed Kingdom were a better choice as ROH 6-man tag team champions.
Yeah, I think what it is too. I think the Von Erichs are going to be presented more on Ring of Honor. So on that aspect, I could see why they did it. I think Undisputed Kingdom, I think would have been a good choice because I'm like, they kind of needed more in a sense. They really needed more. And I'm like, where's the stable going at this point? It's like, probably should have put it on them, but it is what it is. It was a nice moment. I was surprised, definitely surprised that they went with the team. I mean, it was a nice moment for them. So it's, and I saw like the promo after they have on YouTube. Like I saw that as well. Like, it was so I mean, it was a good moment, but I do kind of agree. I'm like, maybe Undisputed Kingdom probably should have won it because it's kind of like they kind of needed more.
Throw them a fucking bone, please, Tony. We do have a super chat donation. Thank you so much, Chuck Berries. He says, just a heads up, guys. Darby Allin gets 2 title shots in a 1 week. Sounds like a pretty good week to me. I mean, hey, I'm not trying to spoil anything, but you may hear Darby's name again by the end of the show for our usual segment that closes us off. I'm just saying, he got 2 title shots in a 1 week. He got 2 title shots in the same night because it was taped on Wednesday. So, hey, it was a choice, but it looked good on Darby. I'll tell you that. But yes, let's go to news for AEW, as we had some news out of San Diego Comic-Con as during AEW's panel at San Diego Comic-Con on Thursday, Tony Khan confirmed that Mercedes Moné will defend her TBS championship against Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, at Wembley Stadium on Sunday, August 25th. An angle took place during Thursday's Comic-Con panel where Monet and Camille, dressed as Batman villains Poison Ivy and Bane, confronted Baker. That led to Khan announcing Monet versus Baker for the All In pay-per-view. So I love the fact they used Comic-Con to do that. That was good stuff. That was a good look right now.
Yeah, same. And then also, I mean, they did it in the panel. So I mean, that's the best way to do it. You have a bunch of fans showcase, and that's what they did. So it was a good move. It was definitely a good move on their end to do that. And also Mercedes has been on the Repop run for like San Diego Comic-Con, New York Comic-Con. So it works out for her. So it was a good move all around.
PW Insider had an update on the contract status of AEW stars, the House of Black, as well as specifically Buddy Matthews and Malachi Black. According to the report, Buddy Matthews signed a new contract with AEW earlier in February. The length and terms of the deal are unknown. Evil of WrestlePurist reportedly recently reported that the AEW deals of Malachi Black and Keith Lee are up very soon, but Murphy has signed a new deal. However, PW Insider reports that Malachi signed a contract that will keep him under contract with AEW into 2025. During a July 2022 interview with Busted Open Radio, Tony Khan stated at the time that Malachi had 5 years left on his AEW contract, stating that Malachi Black has almost 5 years left on his deal. In a video he posted on social media later in September of that year, Black seemed to deny that contract length, stating that my contract is not 5 years. My contract's never been 5 years. It's all bullshit. It's all lies. He signed with AEW and made his debut in July of 2021. A new report had some additional details on the contract statuses of Malachi Black and Buddy Matthews. Fightful Select reports that Matthews' deal would have to be extended a while back, and that it is not specified by AEW sources whether it's a new contract or the contract picked up the option on his contract. At one point, there was word internally that Matthews did have option years in his contract. As for Black, those in AEW believe that the deal goes towards the end of this year and that at one point 2 option years were applied. Again, that information has not been confirmed. Tony Khan said in July of 2022 that he has almost 5 years, though it was reported later that Black's contract has a conditional aspect that could reduce the amount of time on the deal. The Wrestling Observer newsletter had an update on the AEW contract of Buddy Matthews with rumors that he recently signed a new deal. It was noted that Matthews actually signed months ago. At one point, he tried to give notice, but AEW decided not to release him, and Tony Khan made a very lucrative new deal that Matthews agreed to. So you won't see BC and Buddy Matthews go and join Rhea Ripley over at WWE anytime soon, but Malachi Black seems somewhat up in the air. Could you see Malachi Black staying with AEW, or do you think that he might leave when his contract does expire?
Honestly, I could see both sides. I could see him staying with AEW just because he'll probably get the best use of what he wants to do. And money-wise, they'll be able to pay him. If he goes to WWE, he goes back with his wife, but then it's like, what they're going to do with him? Like, that's just where it comes down to. So I could see both aspects why he would want to stay and then why he would want to leave. So it's kind of like, before it was kind of like a strong, like, hey, he's definitely leaving to WWE, but now it's like kind of in the middle because there's a lot of stuff that's been reported and a lot of stuff that wasn't true. So we don't know for sure what's going to happen. So I think I'm like 50-50. Like he could end up staying or leaving.
That's true. The Wrestling Observer newsletter had reports on recent injuries for AEW. Killswitch, the Wrestling Observer newsletter reports that Killswitch suffered an injury during last week's AEW Trios Championship matchup where the Patriarchy defeated the Bang Bang Gang. Killswitch suffered an arm injury, possibly a partially torn bicep. He is expected to work through it, though, however. Also on last week's Collision, we saw Sky Blue suffer an ankle injury in her matchup against Hikaru Shida. The initial hope was that Sky Blue will be okay after she suffered her injury. Following AEW Collision, she is now back home recovering with her ankle and leg wrapped, as Kyle Fletcher, her boyfriend, posted on social media. Fightful Select also notes that AEW made a couple of adjustments on the show due to her injury, and it's unknown what the adjustments were. And as for the original AEW Unified Trios champion, Switchblade Jay White, Fightful reports that it is a legit injury that is keeping him out of action per AEW sources. There is said to be more happening with the Bang Bang Gang story that will continue to unfold, so we'll keep you updated on that. In other news referring to AEW, CMLL crowned a new number one contender for the AEW International Championship or AEW American Championship as Templario won a one-night tournament for a shot at the international title. He will face MJF on the August 2nd episode of Venenas Espectacular. Templario defeated Alvino in the finals with an avalanche powerbomb off the second turnbuckle. So he'll be facing MJF coming up next Friday on CMLL in Arena, Mexico. That should be a lot of fun. And then finally, we have some update on the AEW Warner Brothers media rights deal. As Fightful Select had an update of the rumored new broadcast deal between the two sides. According to Fightful's report, a new broadcast deal between AEW and WBD is currently expected. Running again. We got a fairy.
That he is.
You want to say, send a super chat.
Send the super chat.
Yo.
Oh, I love it. You okay? All right. It is expected a new deal with AEW and WBD, but it's not a done deal as of yet. Earlier on Thursday, word surfaced that a deal between both parties was imminent, and others stated that an agreement in principle was in place. However, Fightful, citing sources close to WBD, claimed that there is nothing imminent between the two sides. meaning something in the next few next few days. Neither company is reportedly planning to do an announcement of a new TV deal imminently. Also, a framework of the deal has not yet been agreed upon by both sides. Additionally, the report notes that AEW and WBD are expecting that a new deal will be reached and things are still amicable between both sides. AEW President Tony Khan is expected to meet with WBD CEO David Zaslav in Paris, France during the Olympics. Their meeting has reportedly been in the works for months. However, it's noted that it's not a guarantee they will reach a deal during their meeting. That said, they are slated to have conversations regarding the new broadcast deal during the meeting. Other sources informed Fightful that while an offer for AEW's broadcast rights has been made, there is still no agreement in place as of July 23rd. Fightful also notes that there was an offer made some months ago to AEW from WBD, but it hadn't been agreed upon, with negotiations still ongoing. During Thursday's media call for ROH Death Before Dishonor, Tony Khan was asked about recent rumors regarding the new deal with WBD and the fact that he believes and alleges that WWE PR representatives are talking to media about AEW's next media rights deal. On WWE linking details about AEW's media rights deal, Tony Khan said, "I don't usually do this, but since Brandon brought it up and asked, I had a major member of the wrestling media mention to me yesterday, WWE is telling people that I don't know why WWE is telling people about our media rights deal. I don't know whether it's any of their business." On WWE PR telling the media that the deal is done, he says, "I don't really understand why WWE PR calls people and talks about my business. WWE PR is telling people that the deal is done and that the deal is done at the same level that it was going to be our previous deal. That's not the case. I don't know why WWE PR and why major wrestling media members who are very credible and never lied to me, I don't know why they're telling people that. It's none of their business. I think WWE PR really gets involved in a lot of things they shouldn't get involved in. I can tell you that is very untrue. When we make a deal for AEW, it's going to be a great deal and with a big increase over what we've been making so far." And he says he seemed rather upset, to be honest. When we make a deal, it's going to be for a big increase. We're in a really good position and have been doing great business here, despite what they're trying to do to us. Thanks. He stood on business. Tony Khan was like, "I had enough of this shit. WWE PR, stay out my fucking business. Keep my name out your fucking mouth."
I mean, honestly, I think it's warranted. If he's upset, it's warranted because, again, it's none of their business, right? It's really none of their fucking business, like, honestly. And who cares? Like, they got their money, they got their Netflix deal. Like, well, why are they reporting on anything that has to do with AEW's rights deal? Who gives a fuck? Like, you know, that's how I feel about it. It's just like, I don't know. I think it's just more bad faith thing that WWE's trying to do. They've done it several times already. You know, like the whole report of like the talent, like, oh, I'm not surprised a lot of injuries are happening because the guys are working less. Like, what the fuck is that? Like, who gets, like, what are you guys trying to do at this point? It's so stupid. So I can understand why TK would be upset about it. And I honestly don't think it's the same deal. It's like, you're not going to have a new deal for the money. They're going to ask for more money. That's just what it comes down to. But I mean, overall, I think the deals, honestly, I really think the deal's already done. I think just they're waiting to make it official. So it's a good move for AEW.
And if you want a translation of what Tony Khan was trying to say in that quote, I got to switch to this one real quick, and I'll tell y'all what he really was trying to say.
I'm serious. I'm not going to sit back and take this fucking shit.
Exactly, Tony. We understand. We understand you, Tony. Don't worry. We understand. Yeah, there you go, Valabi. There you go. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. We got to finish up with the Converse, and we'll be talking about Ring of Honor, Death Before Dishonor. The show featured Mark Briscoe defeating Roderick Strong in the main event to retain the Ring of Honor World Title in an excellent, bloody main event war between the two ROH stalwarts. You also had Athena picked up a victory over Queen Aminata in a tremendous encounter to retain the Ring of Honor Women's World Championship. However, the Minions did not retain their gold as Billy Starks dropped the ROH Women's Television Championship to Red Velvet in a good bout. Meanwhile, Atlantis Jr. beat Brian Cage, Johnny TV, Lee Johnson, Leo Rush, and Shane Taylor in a fun survival of the fittest matchup to retain the ROH TV Championship. Undisputed Kingdom defeated Tomohiro Ishii and Kyle O'Reilly in a very good bout to retain the ROH World Tag Team titles. Beast Mortos defeated Commander in an awesome Lucha Libre opener. Layla Hirsch and Diamante had a brutal, bloody, and wild Texas death match with Layla Hirsch picking up the victory. And Lee Moriarty made history, becoming the new ROH Pure Champion in a splendid technical wrestling clinic against Wheeler Yuta. That was a lot of fun as well. ROH TV on Honor Club, you had the show featuring the Von Erichs defeating Dark Order in the main event. Shane Taylor and Johnny TV beat Leo Rush and Atlantis Jr. in tag team action, while Paul White revealed himself as that he is now a member of the ROH Board of Directors, and he made the matchup between Undisputed Kingdom and the conglomeration for Ring of Honor, Death Before Dishonor. But Death Before Dishonor, man, it was one of my favorite shows of the year. I said it on the Fightful post show that we did on Friday. It was like a wrestling buffet. Anything you wanted, you had. You had a Lucha Libre opener with Commander and Beast Mortos. You had a bloody, like old school 1990s, 1980s main event between Mark Briscoe and Roderick Strong. That was a callback to the 2000s era of Ring of Honor. You had the woman being showcased with Athena and Queen Aminata arguably having the match of the night, while you had Red Velvet being crowned the Ring of Honor Women's TV Champion. A fun multi-man matchup with the TV title. You had a ruling tag team title matchup. And then Leo Moriarty and Wheeler Yuta had a technical wrestling clinic. Just everything you would want, including a women's death match with Layla Hirsch and Diamante. Any thoughts on Death Before Dishonor and the great show that they had on Friday night?
Yeah, I mean, it was a great show. And that's why it's like a little frustrating with Ring of Honor, because their pay-per-views usually deliver, and I've noticed this trend. It's usually really good, but then their shows, it's kind of like, all right, whatever.
It's fucking dark.
Yeah.
I've never seen a brand or a company have like fucking velocity every single week, and then it's NXT TakeOver when it's pay-per-view time.
Yeah, and that's what they need to figure out. Like, they really need to do like these shows, like because even like Ring of Honor back in the day when Ring of Honor was doing the hour shows, they had like 3-4 matches, but there were matches like good matches that meant something. That I was like, all right, let me watch this or let me watch that. You know, that's where they need to like figure that out. Once they do that, once they clean it up, once they realize like, oh yeah, we don't need 13 squash matches. Let's focus on this. Like, and I think they're capable of doing it, especially like if they're doing it like in this arena, which it's been like a good turnout. It's been a great turnout for all the events.
I said on Friday night that they need to stay AEW and ROH, like AEW Collision and ROH need to stay in Arlington forever. Like that crowd is awesome.
Yeah, and I think if they even if they do move to like other states, they should do like what they're doing now, like stay somewhere where it's like low key, you know, nice seats, you know, like you're still making your money off of those tickets. So I think the ticket sales for all the shows that they've been doing so far have been great. Like, well, I think when I'm seeing it, they're consistently getting way over more than the seating chart. So they've been doing well when it comes to that. So I think like if you're gonna do these kind of shows, like they gotta just clean up the show, like make it mean something. You gotta bring it back to like an old ROH, like what that meant, I'm all for that. It's like, just you don't need, again, if you're doing like 2-hour shows, I don't need to see 13 squash matches. Like, that doesn't do anything for nobody. And then also you need to showcase your champions, because there's a lot of times the champions are not even on it. That's what you need to do.
Facts. That's the real issue right now, is that they gotta have more focus. And we had the report just last week about them having more care and consistent creative, but we got to see how it works in practice. And I know this weekend they got their first kind of standalone ROH tapings in Arlington, so I'm hoping that moving forward after the success of Death Before Dishonor, they move in that direction.
They need to. They really need to.
We got Power Drive finisher since Texas Death Match with Layla Hirsch and Diamante. Red and Billy and Athena and Amanada were amazing. He also says Texas in the bigger cities, I think, is good. There's plenty of Mexicans out there. Yes. And they're showcasing the Mexican talent, which is a lot of fun, and the black talent showcase big time.
But it's also smart. It's a smart move because you also got to target the demographic to what the city is. So I think that's why like Collision, like that's why like the presentation of Hologram has worked out so far, because of that, something like that. And that's what you need. And I think that's why not only it's been working out because of that, but he's put on 2 great performances. So I mean that helps a lot too.
Facts. During Friday's press conference following Death Before Dishonor, an interesting topic came up as Tony Khan talked about the possibility of using AEW branding with Ring of Honor, which a lot of people talking. He said, and I quote, "I don't think it's out of the question to say, and I don't think it's sacrilegious to say that it would only help grow the ROH brand. If I were to license it, sub-license, if it were AEW ROH, I don't think that's a crazy thing. I don't think that it would be sacrilegious or bad. I think it would actually be good for everybody. Then I think people would see more of the connectivity that exists between promotions and what we're going for. Would our Ring of Honor, frankly, have a lot more value as AEW Ring of Honor? Yeah, probably it would. And I think I've come to that realization as far as the presentation, and that might mean, frankly, a more cohesive absorption of the promotion." Tony, I know you watched the channel. I said this a year ago, nigga. I said this a year ago. Yes, AEW Ring of Honor would sell more tickets. It would be better to make it full on a developmental, or put talent that aren't being used on AEW in Ring of Honor. But yes, make it all whole. AEW Ring of Honor. I think there's a reason why he mentioned this during the post media scrum. I think that is what they're going to go towards, especially if he plans on, talking to David Zaslav about putting Ring of Honor on Max. It needs to be AEW Ring of Honor if it's going to do that.
Yeah. And I know that there's people who were like turned off by it. Like there was a lot of people who weren't like too happy about it. At the same time, I mean, it's an AEW product no matter what. So I mean, and Tony is a businessman, so he knows, like, regardless of how we feel about him, when it comes to business, he knows more about business than we would know. Right? Yeah. Than the average person, no matter what. So people go argue that, but I'm like, hey, he has the team to do it. He has that backing him up. So he knows all that stuff. But I do, in a sense, I do agree with, if you make it like AEW ROH, yeah, it does. It would help. It would help because there's a familiarity already with AEW. So I get what he was saying. And what you also said about Max, like that needs to be a thing, right? If that was the move to go forward, it has to be a thing. People might not like it, but if you want your business to grow or that brand to mean something, that's go that route. But I also understand why other people would be turned off by it, because it's Ring of Honor. People are holding on to what Ring of Honor has always been, right? At the end of the day, Ring of Honor got sold. Yeah, no, which is fair. Like, there's no knock to it. But at the end of the day, Tony Khan brought Ring of Honor, so he's gonna do what he feels is best for the brand and what he feels is best for his investment. That's just what it is. Business is business. That's how I see it.
Yeah, And if anybody's going to know how to run their business, I'm going to put the faith in Tony Khan, because Ring of Honor probably wouldn't be around if it wasn't for Tony Khan, even though sometimes, yeah, it does feel like WWE ECW in a way. I'm hoping that changes now.
No, it does. And that's why I'm like, yo, like that's why it needs to have like its own identity, have like a whole creative team, focus on Ring of Honor, and then you go from there.
Yep. No, it's the fact. Honestly, it's the direction they need to do. The move, the WWE move is how he has been treating ROH. It's not what ROH was. This is a move in a better direction, actually. But we got to move over to Japan for New Japan Pro Wrestling G1 Climax 34, week 2. You had day 2 last Sunday, which featured Yota Tsuji defeating David Finlay in a great main event matchup. Meanwhile, you had Shoto Umino. He picked up a victory over Shingo Takagi in a terrific bout. Gabe Kidd picked up a win over the Great Okan, and Zack Sabre Jr. defeated Tetsuya Naito in a very good matchup that ended with Zack holding up the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. Day 3, we had one of the best match of the tournament so far, Konosuke Takeshita defeating Jeff Cobb in a banger of a hoss fight. You had Tetsuya Naito beat Jake Lee in the main event. And Gabe Kidd defeated Shoto Umino in a stellar, hate-filled battle between the two youngsters. Day 4 had, in my eyes, the best match of the tournament so far. Yuya Uemura defeating Konosuke Takeshita in a fantastic main event matchup. That is arguably the match of the tournament, along with Takeshita versus Tsuji. Uemura and Takeshita have, in my eyes, been the co-MVPs of the G1 through 2 weeks so far. David Finlay, he beat Hanare in a clash between the IWGP Global Heavyweight Champion and Never Openweight Champion. And Yota Tsuji beat El Phantasmo in a good bout. Meanwhile, I believe it was El Phantasmo beat Yota Tsuji, actually. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Day 5 featured Evil defeating Tetsuya Naito in the main event. You also had Zack Sabre Jr. going 4-0 in the tournament so far against Jake Lee. Shoto Umino defeated Great Okan in a fun bout. And Sonata beat Gabe Kidd in a solid matchup. And Callum Newman picked up the biggest upset of the tournament so far, beating Shingo Takagi in a very controversial ending to the matchup that got him a bunch of heat for no selling a DDT. Day 6 was this morning. You had Hiroki Goto defeating Yota Tsuji in a great main event. David Finlay beat Ren Narita. Jeff Cobb defeated Yuya Uemura in a very good bout. Bolton Oleg beat El Phantasmo in another loss for ELP, while Konosuke Takeshita once again had the match of the night, defeating Hanare in a straight-up banger. Yo, can I just say, Konosuke Takeshita, if he ain't earned an AEW push when he get back already in the G1, then Tony Khan ain't paying attention. This dude is one of the best wrestlers in the world, and he has proven it night in, night out in this G1.
Yeah, honestly, it's been. This was what I was hoping for when he got announced for the G1, and he's more than delivered. So I've been happy to see that. And that fucking Jeff Cobb spot was hilarious, where Jeff Cobb like bumped him and he went flying in the ring.
Did you see the superplex though? The superplex that the referee fell over.
Yeah, that was great.
Yo, but him and Uemura, man, that just had the best psychology of the tournament so far, because Uemura started working on his left arm, because Uemura just does all the basic stuff really well. Like his in-ring IQ is just tremendous, and he just broke him down. He worked on the left arm, and then Konosuke Takeshita tried for the world-class forearm on the outside, and Uemura moved out the way, so he hits his right arm on the freaking ring post, and then it leads to the finish where Takeshi's still trying to hit him with the forearm, but he catches both arms in the deadbolt suplex and wins with it. It was just brilliant, like the superb ring psychology and storytelling between those two guys. That's my match of the tournament, and spoiler alert, it's in my matches of the week as well. But In New Japan news, they had the card first matches being released for August's Capital Collision coming up in Washington, D.C. You're going to see NJPW Strong Openweight Championship up for grabs as Gabe Kidd will defend against Leo Rush. You're also going to see Zack Sabre Jr. going one-on-one with Titan of Los Ingobernables de Japón. You're going to see Trisha Dora going one-on-one with Hanako of Stardom. And finally, it's going to be the Dirty Work team of Tom Lawler and Fred Rosser going up against the West Coast Wrecking Crew. So that's to look forward to on August 30th in Washington, D.C. In more sadder news, unfortunately, NJPW1972.com reports that El Desperado has announced that he will be taking a leave of absence from New Japan and will need some surgery. He injured his medial meniscus, and it has been bothering him for 6 months. So with the surgery, he should be out for anywhere between 3 to 7 months. So hopefully it's on the shorter end than the higher end for El Desperado, who's been showing out for New Japan for a while now. But finally, let's close off this week with what we missed with TNA wrestling. As you had TNA Slammiversary last Saturday, the show featured Nick Nemeth beating Frankie Kazarian, Steve Maclin, Joe Hendry, Josh Alexander, and Moose in a great six-way main event to become the new TNA World Champion. You also had ABC defeated the System in a very fun tag team encounter to win the TNA World Tag Team Championships. The Rascalz reunion continued as they teamed for the first time in TNA since 2020 as they beat NXT's No Quarter Catch Crew in a fun trios bout. Then you had Jordan Grace retain the TNA Knockouts World Championship in a rock-solid affair against Ash by Elegance. PCO beat AJ Francis in a better-than-expected Montreal street fight to win the TNA Digital Media and International Wrestling Championships. And then post-match, Steph DeLander asked him to get married. PCO, another contender for Best of the Week. And finally, Speedball Mike Bailey defeated Mustafa Ali in an excellent matchup to win the X Division Championship that featured Earl Hebner getting his redemption in Montreal and not screwing over the Canadian wrestler. That was great. Then you had on TNA Impact this week on Thursday, the main event featured Broken Matt Hardy and the ABC defeating the System and JDC in a pretty good trios main event. Nick Nemeth had his first promo as TNA World Champion, but was interrupted by Mustafa Ali to set up a title match on next week's show. The Rascalz challenged X Division champion Speedball Mike Bailey to a trios matchup. He'll team with Trent Seven and Kushida to verse the Rascalz next week. Alexander Hammerstone and Ash by Elegance defeated Eric Young and Jordan Grace in a decent mixed tag matchup, while AJ Francis beat Sami Callihan. But talking about Slammiversary, any thoughts on Slammiversary, whether it be Nick Nemeth becoming TNA World Champion? A lot of fans were not happy with that as they believe Joe Hendry should have won. We did our predictions and we said that the three contenders to win last week were Moose, Nick Nemeth, and Joe Hendry. What do you think about TNA's decision to crown Nick Nemeth here?
I get it. I just thought it would happen sooner. I thought he was going to be the TNA champion sooner.
I thought he was going to win at Rebellion.
Same. So that's why I thought, like, for me, it's like, yeah, it's cool that they did it now, but it was like, I thought it was going to be sooner just because of the trend that Joe Hendry is going. It will tell you, like, hey, this guy's the hottest. You go with him. But I really think they want to keep the TNA championship off NXT TV.
Yeah.
And you kind of been seeing that. Like, yeah, Joe Hendry is probably their most over guy at NXT right now, but they're not going to give him the title. That's just what it is. So I get it. Maybe the match itself, too, was kind of like weird. Like the eliminations were a little weird. And then the heel turn happened with Alexander. It was just like, okay. Yeah. Because it was the timing of it that was kind of like, damn, you did this shit now, and then he didn't even win. Like,
yeah, the peak of the matchup was Joe Hendry eliminating Moose, and then you had the heel turn right after it immediately, and then right after that, Josh Alexander gets eliminated, and then it ends off with Frankie Kazarian and Nick Nemeth.
Yeah, so it was a little weird. I thought that's where they kind of like fucked up at. Like, I don't mind Joe Hendry losing, but it was just the way they did it. I was like, you had him pin the champion. That's cool, right? So then we kind of guaranteed a new champion, but then all of a sudden that happened. It was kind of like, I don't mind the Alexander heel turn itself because I want to see what he does as a heel, but it was more of the timing. I think the timing was just weird when it comes to that. But then TNA is gonna TNA, so that's what they did.
TNA at the end of the day, right? TNA.
Yeah, like that's what they did. So I'm like, I mean, it's like it is what it is when it comes to that. But that's why it was like, I mean, it's cool. Nick Nemeth, I mean, definitely deserved it. And I did pick him. I think I was fucking around in the chat. Remember, I said they're gonna go with Nick Nemeth. I was like, you heard it here first. And then it happened. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, I was just joking. And then they went with it. I was like, oh shit. And then but I mean, overall, I mean, I thought Slammiversary was a good overall show. I didn't see nothing wrong with it besides like I said, the main event, like some of the things, but it wasn't like a whole turnoff kind of thing, turnoff aspect. It was just like, they could have laid it out a little bit better. Overall, it was a good night for TNA.
Yeah, I agree with you there. But we've made it to the end of what we missed, and we close off this show with our best and worst of the week, including our matches of the week. As far as best of the week, I'm going to give it to Darby Allin. And worst of the week, I'm going to go with the AEW Trios Championships because Killswitch got hurt in the matchup where they crowned new champions after stripping Jay White of the Trios Championship for getting injured. So the first time I'm going to pick an inanimate object. The Trios Championships are the worst of the week, and the Darby Allin the best of the week for getting 2 title shots. Josh?
Best of the week, I'm gonna say Darby Allin. The worst week, that was interesting. So I'm like, who had the worst week in wrestling? I'm trying to think. I can't really think of somebody. The worst?
Yeah, I couldn't think of anybody. I mean, Liv Morgan, she was crying, but I don't know if that's real or not. So.
Yeah. The worst week. Fuck. Who had the worst week? You know what? I'm gonna say who had the worst week. Actually, no, I can't say Phil again.
He had a pretty good week. He got cleared.
Yeah. The worst week. Oh, damn! You see, that's so fucking hard. I don't know.
I don't know. Finishers going with the blood and guts finish.
No. That was a fine finish. I can't go with the finish itself.
And TNA. We got Safet who says Trios and Jack Perry. Jack Perry got handcuffed to his cage, so that's fair.
I mean, I'll go with Jack Perry. He did get tied up, and then he almost got lit on fire.
And he got
but then also he had that nice petty moment. So that's why I'm like, I can't really give him worst of the week.
Max Caster, he was the least performer in Blood and Guts.
Max Caster. Matter of fact, I'll go with Max Caster. Fuck him, because he's been annoying. He's been like super annoying, especially like that interview he did with CVV. God.
That was.
He came off so unlikable, and I liked the guy, but he came off so unlikable with his reasoning of like, oh, we don't want them. I get he's trying to play a gimmick, but it's like, bro, cut it out. This is not the way you go about it.
He goes to the Triple H school of media training.
Yeah, and it's just like, bro, that's not how you do it. Don't stop doing it. Whatever you're doing is not working. Stop doing it. That's how I feel about it.
That's fair. All right, matches of the week. We had a very busy week with TNA Slammiversary, ROH Death Before Dishonor, and all the regular shows. So and the G1 is going on. So I got 10 matches this week. I'm sorry ahead of time. Number 10 for me, Shota Umino versus Gabe Kidd from the G1 Climax. These guys just hated each other. It was so great. I was living in the moment. I felt like Kendrick Lamar. I wanted to hate somebody as much as they did. Number 9 for me, I'm going Lee Moriarty versus Wheeler Yuta. that was just a technical wrestling clinic, and I love the finish using the ropes to get the win because they had no more rope breaks between the two of them. Number 8 for me, this one is the last addition to my list, Hologram versus Beast Mortals from last night's Collision, just Lucha Libre greatness. Number 7 for me, Speedball Mike Bailey versus Mustafa Ali from Slammiversary. Don't raise your dress. Don't do that. We're on live.
Like, oh no.
Oh no. Speedball Mike Bailey versus Mustafa Ali. They had like a cruiserweight match mixed with some great storytelling with Earl Hebner coming out. Number 6 for me, Konosuke Takeshita versus Jeff Cobb. Big beefy men slapping meat and shaking the ring. I loved it. Number 5 for me, I think this is the highest I've ever had an NXT TV matchup, but the Rascalz versus Axiom, Nathan Frazier, and Javon Evans. That was like nothing else we've seen from NXT. Just high-flying guys just doing flippy shit, spot foo, as Righteous Reg usually says. Okay, relax. What? You want toilet paper? For what? Say send the super chat for toilet paper.
Super chat for toilet paper.
Okay. All right. Cool. You got that in. Number 4 for me, Mark Briscoe versus Roderick Strong. That took me back to like 2000s era Ring of Honor at Death Before Dishonor. That main event was excellent, but the match of the night was number 3, Athena versus Queen Amanada. One of the best women's matches I've seen all year. And Queen Amanada has more balls than Will Ospreay. She did a tiger drive in the fucking matchup. She's awesome. Number 2 for me, Blood and Guts. Just a awesome matchup. If it wasn't for the build, this would be no question the best Blood and Guts they've ever done. And number 1 for me, though, the match of the G1 so far, Yuya Uemura versus Konosuke Takeshita, a wrestling classic right there. Josh, your matches of the week.
Matches of the week. I have 3. Number 3, I'm gonna go with the one I saw last night. Hologram versus Mortis. Really love that match. Probably the best match of the night from Collision. Number 2, I'm gonna go with Dragunov and Breaker. And then number 1,
nearly on my list. It just missed out. On my list.
And then number 1, Blood and Guts, easily.
Good week from professional wrestling. A lot that we discussed throughout the show. So we appreciate y'all. If you were joining us live, over like 140 of you have watched this show, whether it be on Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube. We always appreciate the live viewership. But if you're watching us on demand, let us know in the comments down below your matches of the week. Who had the best week? Who had the worst week? We love to interact with all of you. So leave your comments down below. And we appreciate y'all for joining us live as well. But Josh, floor is yours. Thank you as always for joining me today. Let everybody know where they can follow you.
You can follow me, JMPunk321, Twitter and Instagram. Mostly Instagram. And then I'll be on next weekend for Tru Heel Heat. I got no plans for that weekend, so I'll be on. And this week, I'm not too sure we're gonna do Elite Heat. I gotta see how I feel. So just be on the lookout for that as well.
Yes. Josh making good ideas as well. So check out our AEW Dynamite short. If he's not doing Elite Heat, we'll definitely have a short by Chris G. You watched 1,000 views for that. So well done by Chris G and you on that choice this week. And we got in the chat as well for matches of the week. Power Drive finisher like me, he's like mentioning all. There was too many badass matches this week. He said the 3 women's matches from Ring of Honor, Moriarty and Yuta, Mortos Hologram, Briscoe Strong, Blood and Guts, Breaker Ilya, no order, just the best matches. Absolutely a great week.
That's fair.
You can follow me.
Yeah.
Follow me on social media at Tru Heel SP3. Follow the gang, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at Tru Heel Heat. Patreon.com/Tru Heel Heat. $3 a month gets you exclusive content. The best place to support us when we are not live here. But we will be back live next Saturday, 11:05 a.m. Eastern Time, the usual spot for the Tru Heel Heat Flagship podcast. We'll give you a preview of SummerSlam. We got our official preview of SummerSlam coming up on Wednesday at, I believe, 3:05 p.m. Eastern Time. It'll be myself being joined by Ella J. We're going to be breaking down the card for next Saturday's SummerSlam, so stay locked on the Tru Heel Heat YouTube channel for that and all the usual stuff. We got Collision Discourse tomorrow. We'll be talking more about that hologram Mortos matchup as well as Battle of the Belts. We got Rated Raw review on Tuesday, so stay locked here. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell to stay notified for all the great content here. But for True Draw Josh, it is me, your Tru Heel Phenom SP3. This has been Tru Heel Heat 287. What was the title again? Hurt's Educated Wish. Yes, it was an educated wish. It wasn't a lie. We are signing off until next time.